Man.
Hey,
I
just noticed something.
What happened?
My name at the bottom looks a whole lot different than what it did last time. Boy, I tell you.
I was waiting on you to pick it up. You did not. It took you like a whole 20 minutes to pick it up.
Bro,
I was like, is this man gonna pick it up?
we've been sitting here talking for I know a good few minutes or so at least. And I just noticed after we went live.
I'm like he gonna figure it out.
Hey man, what the hell?
It wouldn't be me if I didn't mess with my people. So I feel like that. I mess with everybody. Like but you also have about as much range as I do, so you can always mess with me every time you get it.
Bro, you know how we do. It's gonna be a back and forth, and we're gonna have a good laugh about it. But I promise you, if one of y'all talk sideways about Gresh, I will hurt you.
Yeah.
There'll be some furniture get moved.
Yeah, that's why. See, listen, ladies and gentlemen, before we get started, that's the reason why it pays to be nice and pays to be cool with people, because you ain't gotta do the heavy lifting, especially big motherfuckers. Like, this dude is huge in person. He will knock you the fuck out, and I would just sit there and be like,
"Hey, man." That's why I say I gotta watch myself, because I was just talking to one of the homies, and we was, just sharing some things, life stuff or whatever. And it was a conversation my dad and I had. And it was like, people see us now and they see the people we are now, but they don't know there's history in the past there. Leave that guy back there in that history and that past. He's still here in this physical form. He's just tucked away. Like in my dad's words, leave that monster where he at.
Listen, the thing about this monster though, it never goes away. It just grows patience.
It basically it hibernates.
Yes.
It hibernates.
I'm patient. But trust me, after a while, I'm gonna be like, you know what? Let him out.
Oh, brother. Look, I have to like grab and I gotta pull the reins in.
It's like well, hold on, like relax.
Yeah, exactly.
Hey man, but other than that, yeah, it's been a solid day actually. Like I just got back not too long ago from setting up a show for this week, so
nice.
Business as usual, you know the vibes.
Nice.
Hey, but yeah,
we've been, man, taking care of some business and stuff, and just trying to get some things straightened out, whatnot. Life be lifing.
Life be lifing. Long
what it is. Yeah, what it is.
I saw a post somewhere, probably on Twitter. They said, "What's keeping you from crashing out?" And I'm like,
"Oh yeah, I saw that."
I'm like, just not trying to go to jail. And honestly,
pretty much.
It's like I don't feel like crashing out. Like I could. Mm-hmm. It would be easy, but I'm like, there's too many domino effects if I do crash out.
Right.
Like too many people rely on me to keep my head on tight.
Right.
So
yeah, I gotta I answered that same tweet or whatever, and I was like, between God and my kids.
Yeah,
that's who y'all have to thank.
Because trust me, I be zoning out, and I be like, that option really do be crossing my mind a lot, and I'm like, nah,
bro. It's like the temporary satisfaction I would get out of it does not outweigh the long-term lasting effects of that situation. So I tend to that's one of the times when my filter is actually working. Because between here and here, or between here and here, sometimes that filter can get a little wacky. Thank God that filter is fully in place, fully functioning now, and it works, and it doesn't like have a shut off, or it fully functions.
Facts. And speaking of functions, I'm gonna go ahead and press this button and
get into it.
Get into the conversation. Yeah.
Feeling like Gresh Unleashed. Feel the club go around here, I'm the cat. This bang bang gang, I don't owe you jack. When I'm in the ring, it's just me and my best friends. OC cutting no slack. Hollywood Miz, you can put me on the A-list. Gresh Unleashed, better put it on your playlist. Me and my fam be ballin' like the Bruce. Fight night, baby, hard hitting like Sheamus. Family first, yes, bloodline business. Winning all the gold, look at how they witness. I was taught to be the greatest. 1,000 days I'm running, check out the book of Guinness. Coolin' with the baddies in the baddie section, guarantee you they ain't jaded. Heal you baby face, I ain't feeling your gimmick. The fans think it's overrated. I bet you thought you the EST, but homie, you don't even really go here. I'm better than you and you know it. Scumbag, baby, I'ma make that clear. Making many moves while I'm headed on the flight. I'm the mega star, baby, on these LA nights. Putting on 5-star classics, contract year, cause today is a whole new price. Brock Lesnar on the beast. Eat, sleep, flex, and repeat. Whole new swag with a price on the tag. Coming live from the west to the east. Better recognize on the mouthpiece. See the power level gotta increase. Bringing content on a daily. Feeling like Gresh Unleashed.
Greetings and salutations, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, non-binary pals, baby mamas, baby daddies, and everybody in between. Welcome back to the GRESH UNLEASHED podcast. This is episode 107 of the show that brings you the good vibes to the best of our abilities. Joining you as always is the voice that does the most, the purveyor of mischief, Gresh. And joining me as always is one of my main men. He is none other than the giant of this illustrious family around here. But I'm just playing. He is none other than my man, Jermaine. What's good with you, brother?
Not much, man. Happy to be back. Took a little time off last week because I wanted to go support one of the youths doing some good things, and you know what I'm saying. Had to go and support the youths, but I'm back this week.
No, good to have you back. Last week, if you guys haven't tuned in, I'll have my boy DJ slide through and chop it up, talking about them Eagles overcoming the Kansas City Chiefs. And it was a good time. If you haven't tuned in or checked out that episode, make sure you guys tap in on that.
Like, I was locked in at the beginning, bro. DJ, he was like, "Nah, this is my time to shine, and I'm taking full advantage."
He brought the cigar out. I was like, bro, he was like, "Bro, you sure you want me?" I'm like, "Hey, bro, I need the content." And honestly, this was a good ass game. So, bro, as far as from because I just wanted to see the Chiefs get their ass beat.
Right, and bro, the thing is, man, like I was telling people, I didn't have a dog in the fight because I really didn't care either way who won. It was either we would see history with a three-peat for the first time ever, or we would see, a young up-and-coming quarterback beat the current guy who's the guy right now in the league and establish himself. And you were going to see history either way because this Eagles team just won their second in 8 years with different quarterbacks, different coaching staffs. Same GM, though. Howie Roseman, same GM. But you got a whole different roster, a whole different coaching staff and everything. And you've been able to do that 2 different times. So I think Howie Roseman, all the talk of the great quarterbacks, and is Mahomes in the GOAT conversation if he would have completed a three-peat, and is Andy Reid in that conversation with Bill Belichick and all of this other stuff. And we always talk about players and sometimes coaches in these conversations. We need to start paying more attention to a lot of these GMs. Same reason why, like, let's say, wrap it back around to wrestling. When you see certain contributors and whatnot get inducted into the Hall of Fame, it's because their contribution to the business was big enough for them to warrant being inducted. The same way you have with some of these executives in the sports world. It's the exact same thing. They're contributors. They may not be the coaches or the athletes, as opposed to being a wrestler, but they are big contributors and they do deserve a spot in the spot in the hall, but they deserve some shine is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah. Speaking of the hall, might as well just sprinkle this out first and foremost. Michelle McCool is officially the latest inductee into the WWE Hall of Fame 2025. You mentioned Hall of Fame, so I might as well throw that little tidbit in there. So far for 2025, we have Triple H, and now we have Michelle McCool. Were you surprised by this? Because I saw a little mixed reaction. Some people say they thought Mickie James would have went in before Michelle. Some people said they thought Victoria would have went in before Michelle. Like, were you surprised at this? Because I'm gonna be honest with you, I'm not finna say like it was predictable, but it's like she's married to the Undertaker. It was bound to happen within the next year or so after he went in.
I put it to you like this. I was shocked just for the simple fact that I thought that she at some point she was gonna get in, I think, because to a lesser extent she was one of the bridges kind of from the Divas era to that women's revolution era, in the fact that she was in that Divas era, but she could actually work in the ring.
Facts. Like first Divas champion, I believe.
She was something like that, but I mean, she has a place in women's wrestling history that would warrant her Hall of Fame induction. Now, when you get into should she get in before this person or she needs to come in after this person, this, that, and the third, we're splitting hairs at that point, because I look at Hall of Fames the same way everybody does. Either this person is or they not. Where in reference they get in as opposed to other people, that's not for me to call. That's for the people voting on, deciding on, what have you. That's for them to call and figure that out. That's their stress.
What about you?
Your Hall of Fame, or is she not?
Facts. What about you, Hi-Lite? Got any thoughts on Michelle McCool being in the 2025 Hall of Fame? First off, welcome in. But yeah, this is the conversation you walked in on, my brother.
What's going on, everybody? It's your boy Hi-Lite Real, man. Y'all gotta excuse me if I sound a little ratchet. I'm recovering from a sinus cold. But with Michelle, man, I would say it's about time, man. I kept wondering. I was surprised she didn't get in sooner, to be honest with you. I felt like that Taker politic was gonna work in at some point, man. I'm happy that he finally was able to, do whatever he had to do to get in that thing, man, because it seemed like for a while she was being disrespected as a talent. But it's just good to see her finally getting her flowers, man. And I hope Layla's not too far down the line from it. Because they act like she doesn't exist.
You mentioned Layla. I thought that would at least been a duo intro. Like Cool or something, because it was prominent for a good, what was it, 2 years? From 2009, 2011, whenever Michelle lost that loser leaves WWE match.
Yeah. They did hold it down for quite a while. I'm not even gonna lie. That Divas era was a rough.
A lot of people
call
them beautiful people ripoff, which I can see that.
True that.
Speaking of Undertaker politics, did y'all peep WWE LFG?
I have not watched it yet.
I will definitely say I watched it. I didn't watch it live because I fell asleep. but I definitely watched it. I definitely watched it the next day, that morning, when I was getting ready for when I was getting ready to go to the gym, and then when I came back. It's actually Tough Enough merged with NXT season 1, the gaming version, and basically NXT Level Up all into one, with a sprinkle of WWE gaming dialogue if you played those My Rise games.
Gotcha. See, I purposely wanted to wait and kind of watch it because, like, sometimes when I go back and watch stuff or rewatch stuff, it's like in the middle of the night when I'm having sleep issues or late at night or something like that. And I wanted to really sit down and focus and pay attention and watch this when I watch this. I didn't want to be falling asleep restarting it. I wanted to watch it from beginning to ending all the way through. And that I don't mind if y'all talk about it, spoilers or whatever. That's not gonna bother me not one bit. So y'all feel free to go ahead. Don't like hold
the thing
back,
is there's nothing to spoil. It's pretty much like once you watch it, if you're into that type of television, like the Tough Enough minus the living arrangement, they're pretty much following rookies into the performance center. Shawn Mox basically said that some of these people have been over a year, some people have been over a week. They're going to be training these people for basically to get that NXT contract.
One thing that I did notice, like speaking of what you said, they have a variety of different people. They're not all starting out from the same point. And I think that's what's a little bit different from the past shows and stuff that we've had. It's like you've had people that are all basically on the same kind of level. They're either all with no experience or some experience, and they're all trying to push them in. Like the Tubi show was strictly about them taking collegiate athletes and whatnot and trying to get them to see what they can do as far as the WWE tryout is concerned. So I love the fact that it's a mixed, bag of contestants or, challengers, whatever you want to call
them. Okay. Yeah, I agree. That's what I'm saying. I'm like, it's not like there's nothing to spoil. Like you can't really just say, hey, if I say that if this happens or this happens, I'm not you're not gonna basically miss out or anything, or it's gonna feel like you're doing that. But yeah, it was actually a fun show, like especially the Olympic gold medalist, Maya something. Remember the young lady who signed with Gabe Stevenson? SummerSlam in like 2021.
Gosh,
I forgot.
I'm trying to think, man. But I think I know who you're talking about.
Yeah, is it Maya?
There's a few of them on there, man, that I know I want to keep an eye on. Like I know the young lady who was on the Tubi show. I'm not sure if she's on LFG or not, but I do know like there's her, there's that idiot kid BJ.
That was stupid. Like this dude intentionally pissed off Bubba Ray and Undertaker, and then played like, huh? Like, bro, you know what you did. Tyra May Steele, that's her name.
No, I do not remember her. Because that's her WWE name, right? Or is that her?
That's her WWE name.
If I saw her picture, I might remember her, but I do know like there's a few of them on there. Like I'm really interested in seeing where these kids end up going. And yes, I can't say kids because they young.
Yeah, I mean I can say kids too, because most of them are like younger than me, like in their early 20s, like 21, 22.
Yeah, they're really young. And the cool thing about it is I love that WWE got on the NIL train kind of early on in it and started bringing in some of these collegiate athletes. And we're literally already seeing some of them, performing on NXT regularly and even getting called up to the main roster. So we're starting to see that pipeline come through. It's just going to be interesting now that they've kind of put a TV show to it, to kind of jazz it up a little bit more and kind of bring a little bit more light to this. This also coincides with them having their WWE ID program for the indies as well. So they're basically putting all of their next, generation talent front and center right now. And I'm just excited to see where all these kids end up and how it works out for them.
Facts. Like it's basically like Byron said in the chat, it's basically the voice for WWE.
Yes.
Ooh,
excellent analogy. Excellent analogy. Excellent analogy.
I like the way you put that, man. Good comparison. We know WWE is always trying to do something sports-like and be kind of like some of these other popular avenues that we see on television. So I haven't had a chance to fully check it out, but I have been seeing like the clips, and I saw where they showed like the vignettes for each talent, kind of introducing you to who they were. There was one chick that was throwing me off. I don't know if y'all know who I'm talking about. She had like this like head that made it look like she was a fat person, but she was incredibly swole.
Oh, I call her Sally Lesnar.
Yeah.
Oh, I know which one you're talking about.
Yeah, because I kept getting, I couldn't get past it. I was like, hold on. Because you look at her for a minute before you see the muscles, you thinking like, okay, thick chick, but then you see I'm like, wait, this don't match. Like, what the heck?
Bro,
I'm like,
she's ripped.
She's ripped.
It's just that under the chin neck area is got that little like, I don't know. It's funny because sometimes like I've seen it in people when they lose a lot of weight, and sometimes they have like a little extra skin or whatever, but like she only has it in that one area, looks like, or I don't know. It's just some people are just built differently, and she just got like this fat, chubby, like she's still like a baby face. But then everywhere else, she's like ripped to shreds. Look like she's ready.
She will whoop your ass,
bro. She looked like she could tear a phone book in half.
No, facts, bro. I mean, it was intimidating in a good way, but at the same time, it was just like, that's gonna be hard to kind of look past a little bit. That's a little distracting, but at the same time, hey, Shorty can't wait to toss some girls around. I feel bad for
honestly,
them.
That's up to the company. Like, they don't have to stereotype her with the whole female heavy trope, because we don't know what she's like off of basically character wise, because you can't judge a book by its cover.
Right.
So we don't know how that is, but yeah, from basically just off the look, you like something don't look right. Like, hold on,
bro. Like when I saw her, because when Hi-Lite said that, I immediately knew who he was talking about.
I did too.
One of the pictures that I saw, one of the first ones I remember seeing was like she was kind of in the background over there because she's a taller girl.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm thinking, oh, they got another Nia Jax in the crowd, like big bone, like thicker, girl, whatever. And then I saw her posing by herself, and she was flexing. I was like, wait a minute.
Wait a minute. This is
that's deceptive.
This is Nia. This is Nia China.
Bro, like I was like, yo, she look. I was like, man. I said, Lash and them got some competition. Lash and Jade and Raquel and Mommy all day.
I mean, that's what you want, though. Hey, what Gresh know how I go. Gresh know how I go. You know how I go.
Hey. Like Sloan was in the chat earlier. Sloan said she ain't a lady unless she 180.
Hey, let's
gotta be two something to do something.
Let's go. Give me my Piper Niven, man. Give me my Nia Jacksons. Come on, let's go.
He want his big meaty women bumping.
You dog go, man. Come on, man.
Instead of saying meat, it's like big meaty women dumping satellite.
No, we just gonna keep saying bumping
big junk in the trunk or something. You know what I'm saying? Whatever.
Big meaty women bumping junk.
Hey, I like that.
Let's go with that. Let's go with that.
Them 808s is banging, baby. Let's go.
But speaking of junk or something that WWE has a habit of is introducing a lot of belts, because Triple H just revealed the WWE ID Men and Women's Championship belts for some reason.
Excuse me? Oh Lord.
Yeah.
Oh my. Well,
okay.
The belt looked nice. I will say that.
Yes.
Yeah.
But really?
Hey,
dang! How many championships?
I get it though. I get it though. On the one hand, it doesn't make much sense.
Nah.
Because this is your champion
of the Indies,
the people of the Indies that you see as a future NXT prospect.
Mm-hmm.
Pretty much.
So when you bring that person to NXT, or if you end up signing that person to NXT, and they've had this Indie championship, do you bring them in as a main event level star? Do they have to start at the bottom and work their way up? How does that work? I'm a little confused.
Hopefully they establish that. That's a good question.
Not only that, bro, but we got Evolve coming into the picture too. So now you got that on top of NXT.
We don't even know what that is going to be. Like, we don't know if that's just going to be Level Up or if that's just going to be strictly Evolve rebooted, because the way that they got it set up is basically going to be prospects similar to who was on WWE LFG as well as WWE ID people. So I'm pretty sure this is probably going to be, I guess you can say, their top titles for Evolve.
And that's what I'm wondering. Like, I'm so, like you said, Greg, it kind of lends it to like Evolve is more or less a showcase, not a total reboot of the former promotion, is what I'm looking at it as. And this is just to showcase them. But one thing that I did read or hear, whatever, about the belts is that they're going to be defending these belts on the Indies.
Mm-hmm.
So you can see cool. And here's my thing, and this is why I get it. This is the part that has that's a good point, Sierra. They really have been kind of working with WWE for a while now, because I remember as far back as the Street Profits going down there and winning their tag titles or something. So in Austin Theory, going back there or whatever.
Isn't he their final champion?
I believe so. I'm not sure. I know he at one point held their belt. I wasn't sure if he dropped it and then left, or if he was the last one or what. But one of the things that I found interesting about those belts, and that they said they're going to be defending them on the Indies, is that this gives them a footprint on the Indies as far as like trying to get more talent.
Mm.
So
in a way, this is going to be their first dibs.
Right. This is what I see as, especially coming up with these belts and them being defended on different indie shows and whatnot. Now, the interesting thing is will these belts only be defended on those promotions on the indies that have been identified as a WWE ID, affiliated promotion, or will they be defended on other promotions that are not ID affiliated?
I see them basically defending them strictly on the WWE ID-ish promotions, and then they can wear them on other promotions.
Gotcha.
That they wrestle on. But yeah, because so like, say for instance, Zeta Steel wins the women's version of the titles. I'm pretty sure I can see her defending that title more on Reality of Wrestling than I see her on Comeback Zone or any other random name that they. Because I feel like there's like a million independent companies that have like different variations of abbreviations, and I'm like, where did you come from? So she'll defend it. She probably wouldn't defend it there. She'll probably just pop up, hey, I'm the WWE ID Women's Champion, and then have a match, a exhibition, if you will, and then be done with it.
Yeah, I was gonna piggyback off of that, Gresh, and agree with you, because I think it makes more sense that they would do it based off the schools they're affiliated with, while pop up in other indie promotions. That way, it gives a rub to other talents that they're going to scout to bring into that program that might want to be under the WWE ID brand. So, like, say, even if they don't defend the title, but let's say beat the champion, if you will, maybe that puts eyes on them, and next thing you know, they're WWE ID'd, and maybe can play off of that in storyline or something and be like, hey, I did beat you on my promotion. Let's see if I can actually take that title off of you now that I'm officially WWE ID'd or something. You just, you never know how they experiment with this thing.
Basically, Sierra basically just said what we said. They will be defended at WWE ID promotions, but will likely travel elsewhere to scout talent. That's how WWE did before with Evolve UK Indies. Yeah,
Got it. Yeah, that makes sense though, because also another thing, Gresh, to back up kind of what you said, they could carry the belt to these other promotions that aren't ID affiliated. That's also going to help them with their bookings. Once you've been ID'd, and especially if you carry one of those titles, your interest and your booking fees go up now because you're affiliated with WWE. So that's going to help out some of those indie talents as well.
Yeah.
Oh, for sure. Someone who's not an indie talent anymore, he's basically going to sign on the dotted line tonight, and that is Absolute Ricky Starks. We talked about him last week, and now the man is popping up in NXT this week. They've been teasing a name change, but he's definitely going to be. I feel like he's going to be Ricky Starks.
Yeah, word on the street is he actually owns his name and
he does
theme or something too.
He owned the theme. I don't know because I believe that was
sorry. It was Jordynne Grace is the one that owns her name.
Jordynne Grace owns her theme.
Okay,
but Jordynne Grace's situation is similar to Cody's. So wherever she goes, her thing goes. As far as Ricky Starks, he owns the trademark to his name because that's his name. Like he has a freaking wrestling name for a name. This is crazy. Like, hey, I'm Ricky Starks. Like that screams wrestler. Like, so, but you can tell. Yeah, I feel like they're just playing it up. So, like, now the question is, where do we see, like, because I saw mixed reaction. Some people don't like that he's in NXT. Some people like. I feel like he should be in NXT because the main roster is definitely like he would definitely get lost in the sauce if he went straight to the main roster right away without establishing himself. And this is that type of case because trust me, if he would have went straight to Raw, SmackDown, he would have been in Carmelo's situation.
Oh, definitely. But the difference between the two of them is that Melo is a little bit younger than Ricky. And I love the fact that I could see the direction that they're going in for Melo because he's the loudmouth, young upstart, new to the main roster, number one pick, all the expectations, but he hasn't been winning matches. And what people don't understand is when you're trying to build someone, sometimes you have to start them off as that doormat or as that person who is brash, and then he's going to catch some flack and go through some things and then build himself back up. And they can go in any direction with that. Whereas Ricky is pretty much ready to go. They just may want to tweak some things here and there. And so they'll put him in NXT until they feel like, okay, we have a plan and a direction for him on the main roster. Now let's bring him up. And so a lot of the times people are impatient and everybody has this microwave instant meal. Like, I want a star now. But sometimes that takes time. You have to build. You have to let it cook.
And yeah, because if you look at it, if he would have just threw him out, kind of similar to when he signed all those people back when he first took the book, a lot of them connected instantly. A lot of them didn't. You don't want that situation to where he gets thrown to the wolves and then gets chewed alive, and then he literally it's a situation where it's like, okay, he floundered in AEW and he floundered in WWE because what? ... So it's like, start him in NXT. Have him cook for a while. Definitely win that North American title. Hell, they could even put that's Opal Femi. He might get squashed. So yeah, definitely get that North American title. And then let's see exactly what he can do. He is not conquering the ruler. I'm sorry.
Hey man, hold on. Let's not act like Big Ricky don't cook. You feel me?
Yeah, he can cook, and he will get cooked by the ruler. Hey, I'm trying to tell you.
I feel you. But hey, man, listen. You that man. You never know what that man got up his sleeve. Now, I mean, AEW did have this man beat Brian Cage for crying out loud.
Man, it's fucking Brian Cage. That is not a comparison. That default call. Don't nobody care about that.
Hey, well, okay, he beat Powerhouse Hobbs.
Okay, now that's different. All right.
Let's go there. Remember that?
Hey, man.
You should have started there. You should have started there.
Well, I had to think about it, bro, because it was coming
Brian
to me, and I
Cage.
realized, It had to come to me, bro. It's been a while since I seen him on AEW. You know, look how long they had the man off TV crying out loud. You know what I'm saying? It's like I had to throw back to that for a second. It hit me. I was like, oh yeah, Powerhouse Hobbs. Duh. You know?
Sierra said Ricky has the ability to get overdone too quickly if he's not built right. Yeah.
Yes. And that's what I think kind of happened to him in AEW, where when they didn't just shoot him to the moon when he got hot and they kind of cooled him off, that's when everybody was like, well, what the hell? And then he started having issues with Tony Khan. Next thing you know, he was off TV. But I get where his frustration came in at, because they were pushing him to the moon, and then they just kind of iced him and shelved him and put him in other stuff.
So I gotta shout out my boy Sir Wilkins one time, man. He had a little AEW insider, and he kind of mentioned this on his pod. Word on the street is word on the street now is that he apparently something went wrong with the whole Edge situation, and that's kind of where it went a little downhill for him.
Because Edge got offended?
Evidently so. Apparently Edge and FTR, I guess, you know, even them two, I guess they did a little something where it kind of rubbed them the wrong way, and they went to Tony Khan about, you know, I'm paraphrasing this, so don't quote me word for word, y'all, but I recently checked it out, and I heard him say it, you know, through an AEW insider friend that he's got, and it was basically going back to that's where it really just went completely downhill for him as far as not being featured on TV as much, because he was supposed, and it also had something to do with him not wanting to sign his extension, as he was offered one and he chose not to sign it, and Petty Khan became Petty Khan and was just like, oh, bet you don't want to sign it? Say less. And you know,
Sierra, I love it when she spits. She said AEW has too many like personalities like Ricky. That's what the problem is. Everyone is a talker, narcissistic, or has similarities. Like there's a lot of egos, basically.
Yeah. And
So,
the one that's the most repetitive is MJF, and I know a lot of people like MJF, and I used to kind of like MJF.
The funny thing is, I've seen a lot of people sour on him because they're bored with him.
This is what I was just getting ready to say, bro. He does the same thing. He cuts the same promos every single time, and it's like, bro, you need to evolve, pun intended. Because you need to figure out some other depth or level to your character outside of the same old shtick. Like you go for the most low-hanging personal fruit you can, and you hit them where it hurts, and you get the oohs and ahs out of the crowd. But if you really listen in to like a few years ago to now, he's still getting reactions and pops. They are not as loud and they are not as supportive as they used to be.
It's almost like you kind of have to do him like some people try to do CM Punk after a while. You know how like there are certain promos where you can, you know, CM Punk can get you, but you know if you catch him a little bit before he catch you, he can't really handle it a little bit, and you know you kind of catch him. You almost gotta do the same thing to MJF, but it's like you can't ever find nobody to do that exactly. Like not good enough, but like you said, it gotta evolve at some point because we're all just like, okay, is that the best you got? Just going low ball all the time, man. Like after a while, it really makes you look that much more of a jerk, and not in a good way. You know, when it comes to like the heat that you're trying to catch. But
Sierra said MJF has borrowed from Ricky and so many guys' nachos, if you will, on the indies. He's never had his own personality. It's always been and when you think about it, if you really do a digest and really deep dive on, even when he was at his height, MJF has always been borrowing something from somebody else.
Swagger.
Oh, definitely.
So it's like so it was. And I believe it was somebody. If it was on this show, the Enemies, or anywhere else, they literally say it's only a matter of time before people just gets bored of him because he does the same thing. And hopefully that doesn't happen with Ricky in WWE. He has a new playing field, new sandbox, if you will. You want to do that a fresh canvas. Now all is up to him to basically paint art in WWE or give a shit. Like it's a clean slate. It's up to him and up to what they want to do. So It is what it is. So hopefully it is something worthwhile this go round. Hopefully there's no, like, I feel like this one he won't have to worry about egos because WWE is a machine compared to AEW, to where if you get an attitude, they will literally pull you off the show. If you don't draw ratings or draw money, they will be like, "Hey, bro, go to Evolve right quick."
Exactly. You know, and this is what I love about him being down in NXT, because they can kind of, you know, Sean and the crew down there, Matt Bloom and all those guys, they can put their hands onto that character and put their arms around him as a person and just kind of be like, hey, this is the vision that we have for you. This is what we want you to do and accomplish and work on while you're down here. So that way, whenever they do call you up there, you're ready to go. And it's not as if he wasn't ready to go already, because some people will say, well, he was main roster ready. He was main roster ready. But like you alluded to earlier, Gresh, and I think Sierra said the same thing, you got to build it right. And if you don't build it right, then it'll just be, oh, AEW fumbled him, quote unquote, and now WWE's fumbled him. What if it wasn't that these people were being, quote unquote, fumbled? They were just like, they tried to do something with them and it just didn't work.
Like that, and that's another thing that I feel like a lot of people need to, that Aura and Barry need to leave a lot of their wrestling fans terminology, because they don't know what the fuck it means. And the reason why I say that is because no one is buried, no one is fumbled. Things happen. The beautiful thing about the entertainment industry is because some things work, some things doesn't. MCU, the Eternals did not work. They pivoted. So far, the new Captain America movie is making some numbers in the box office. It's working. You have to go with it. That's how it is with wrestling. If it works, you stick with it. You stick the landing. If it does not work, you back the hell up and you readjust.
Right. And the thing is, man, the beautiful thing that I always loved about pro wrestling, and I paid more attention to it as an older teenager and a young adult, and now in my adulthood. But even when I look back on some of the stuff I loved in the golden era as a kid, you know, especially with these documentaries and stuff coming out, to see the way they pivoted because certain things happen or different machinations for whatever reason going on behind the scenes that we had no clue about back then was great. Now looking back on it, and I'm like, oh, this was cool. I'm glad they did this, or dang, this was messed up. Why did they do that? You know, and there's sometimes when you can't blame the company, you can't blame the writer, you can't even blame the performer. Sometimes the audience just may not take to whatever it was.
Yeah.
And there's no one to blame for that. Things happen. They don't always work out the way we want them to. And because a person does not work out the way we want them to, does not mean that they were fumbled or they got what was the other banned words we talked about?
Aura, buried, all that stuff.
Like no, that does not have to be the case. Like y'all need to get off of that, like Gresh said, and really like look into this and study this and like look at it as a business decision.
Yeah.
Sometimes you make an investment that does not pay off.
Yeah. And last bit on this, Sierra basically said it's not always the company. Sometimes some people are not able to adapt to change. So many guys from the indies worked in WWE and TNA couldn't get past the same issue.
Yeah.
Point blank.
And there's also reasons, even for what she's just beautifully said. When you think about a lot of people who just wouldn't be WWE type of guys in general because of how they're built. You know, you think of like Eddie Kingston, for example, like, you know, he would never come to a place like a WWE or a Homicide. You know, I don't think he was ever at WWE. I don't know if they fit that kind of mold because of how they are as true people and trying to like, you know what I'm saying? Like they're like, I'm too real to try to put this character on me to try to be the star. Like, nah, I'm gonna be me authentically and me rocking with it. A Nick Gage, you know what I'm saying? Like, you know, it's just certain guys that you're just like, nah.
I will push back on that and say that WWE currently has Jacob Fatu, and he is one of their upcoming stars.
Yeah, they're relaxed a little bit more. So
they're more relaxed now.
See, the only thing with Jacob though is look at where his family is. That would be my pushback to that.
No, right, and I get that, but to me the thing was, and it's been like this for a few years now. I don't know a whole lot of stuff, quote unquote, behind the scenes or whatever, but from what I know and understand, they've always liked him and wanted to sign him. It was just a matter of, can he travel? Is this
the whole the legal stuff? Yeah, that was
right. They just wanted to make sure everything was worked out legal wise to where he wouldn't have any issues or anything being a part of their company. Right. And I get that. And now that they've worked all those things out, and I'll say to Eddie Kingston is in a similar mold of a Kevin Owens. However, Kevin is a little bit more polished around the edges where he's a family man and whatnot. Eddie's just, still kind of gruff or whatever. But I think Eddie Kingston would have worked out in WWE and they could have found a place for him. I just think that Eddie's age and stuff like that, maybe his, potential injury history and whatnot, like those are some of the things that may have kept him, kind of away. Homicide and guys like Loki, I can't really speak to them because I didn't watch them as much. So I'm not sure, but I just know like they've kind of relaxed. And I know Nick Gage. And I know damn well that was not Nick Gage would have been perfect in the Attitude Era.
Yeah,
actually
would have ECW for sure. Him and New Jack. Oh my god, bro! Would have been best friends.
Wait, Nick Gage and Mankind Mick Foley.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Eddie was trained. I did not know that. Know that.
A lot of things, And
yeah. Shout out to Homicide, man. He trained a lot of people we watched with, man. So just I don't know. It was just a good combo for that, But shout out to y'all, man.
But from Ricky to NXT, we'll be talking about his new home. We had Obafemi left lane at the hands of a new group. Retro Shield is what I like to call them.
I called them. What the heck did I call them? God dang it! I think it was similar to that Retribution or something like that.
That's what I said. Retribution. That was literally I'm like Retribution.
Yeah, I want to say it was like I think we had the same name for him, but yeah.
So we have a lot of up and coming prospects. Most notably, Lucky Ali, now known as Shaquan Sugars. And Dion Lennox, like, brother, we know it's you, that American Next Top model face. We know it's you behind that. And then we have two other gentlemen, including Joshua Black, but now he's known as something. Is that okay? I'm looking at NXT, and Mushmouth is on NXT now.
Mushmouth, as in
Moof.
Oh man, you gotta be kidding me, bro! I thought that was this dude.
You ain't getting a reaction from me because you knew I knew that was coming. I knew it was coming eventually. I was waiting on it. I was only waiting on it because I knew they were gonna do it eventually. So it was like, come on, man.
And of course, he interrupted Obafemi.
Yeah, he want that big meaty man slapping meat situation, and I ain't. Well, somebody out there marking out for that.
But I don't know who. But it ain't me. I just glanced over there. I was like, ew. And then they had a close up over him. I'm like, oh, bro, back the camera up. But back to this situation.
Forgive me for my thoughts, but I hope Obafemi knock his dick in the dirt.
Dang, fam.
Yeah.
No love for that boy. I get it.
Exactly. No pop.
Exactly. No pop.
But
wow.
I'm interested to see where they're going to go with this faction. And
if I see him in the back alley, I'll beat him up and take his fives.
Man, I'm gonna let y'all handle it.
Hey, man, I just put it on in the background just to make sure I ain't missing nothing. I'm like, that's the first thing I see. Okay.
So, all right, how y'all feel about the Black Air Forces situation, man? That's what I peeped when I saw that close up hit.
Hey, I nicknamed him BFE, Black Force Energy.
Come on now, because look, you mean business when the black Air Force is coming on.
Bro.
That's why I said that's the part people were sleeping on when I saw that picture, and I said, nah, the Shield wasn't doing that, bro. He needs guys. They got the black Air Forces, meaning they trying to stomp some folks out. Like, okay, you know what I mean? But hey, I don't know. This is looking it got an interesting reaction, I'll say, because people seem to pop. Shout out to my sis Ash Benny, who was in the crowd. She gave a crowd shot, and I could hear it seemed like people were very interested, especially as they were attacking Obafemi, like, oh snap, they're back. And they were looking around, and it seemed like it was getting reaction versus what it might have picked up on the TV. So I'm interested to know y'all perspective as far as how y'all first thought when y'all saw this.
When I first saw it, I was like, okay, what is happening? And then as I was like, okay, they're actually trying something different, because I feel like when I looked at this and actually processed this, I was like, we've been saying for a while that the men's division needs a shot in the arm. And hopefully this gives it that shot in the arm that it desperately needs, because Joshua Black, I'm calling that, I keep forgetting his new WWE name, but the big guy who was all the way on there, who I thought was Commander Aziz for some reason. I was like,
yeah, I see why you would think that, bro. It was the hair.
I was like, the Commander. I was like, oh, close enough. Welcome back, Commander Aziz. But him, he's a heavy. Like, he's the heavy. Him and the other
Osiris Griffin.
Osiris Griffin. That's what it was.
That's his new name. Yeah, I had to look it up.
Cool.
He is giving that Roman energy now that you mention it.
Like he's a big beefy dude. He even got the Rock cosign on Twitter. So he's definitely somebody to look for. Shaquan Sugars, Lucky Ali. If you've never watched his work in DPW, Deadlock Pro Wrestling, based in North Carolina, I definitely recommend looking up some highlights. I think they have it on YouTube as well. He is definitely smooth in that ring. Like, every time obviously he came back. He just came back from a knee injury, but definitely check out his work, because he is exceptional in that ring. He has little nuances that a lot of people don't have, that you can't teach, but he's definitely there. And then obviously Dixon, Dion is basically, last time we saw him on NXT, he was basically, I'm tired of this place. So he's gonna be the wild card to me. Between him and Lucky is gonna be the wild card in this situation. So
let's also not forget. Sorry, not to cut off.
You good.
Let's also not forget the little nugget. Shout out to some video I saw on Twitter where somebody posted it, but it was a little clip from maybe a few weeks back. It was like a random backstage interaction with him and Obafemi. He's like, someday I'm gonna challenge you for that title, and Obafemi kind of brushed it off. Yeah, right. So it's kind of cool that they target this man, knowing that that's exactly something he said like a while back. And then fast forward into what Gresh just said about him saying that, I'm tired of this place, and then fast forward to this. So, I just had to throw that little nugget in there, Gresh, but continue, brother.
No, you good. You basically
another thing that I noticed about Saquon was that he used to also have he would post content even after he got hurt and whatnot. He was still like posting good content. And that's where I kind of got to know him. I'm like, this dude is funny. Yeah. And by all means, he looks like he used to be really athletic before the injury and whatnot. And now he's just kind of trying to do something different and whatever. And I have not like done any deep dives or watched any of his past matches. But what I did do, I just literally, I'm appreciate you, Gresh, for shouting that out, Deadlock Pro on YouTube, because I just literally went to their page and subscribed so I could start looking into it. Because I'm a nerd like that, and I want to know as much background and stuff, because I don't want to be sitting here looking at this person and not have no clue who this person is or where they came from. I'm not one of those wrestling fans who are going to be like, well, who is this? And why should I care about this guy?
That's what I see that a lot, and I'll be like,
yeah, you see that. Because you saw, like, even the fans, and I hate that chant, because, I'm sure y'all heard it too. Who are you? Who are you? I'm like, nigga, go research. That's what you gonna do. Like, you over there talking about some, who are you, man? Go research. Go find out.
And the initial reaction, seeing as they was wearing masks, I understand that instant. But if it's just like you see their face and
Yeah.
you see a group of people reacting, and then you just start that chant of "Who are you?" Then I'll be like, "All right, bro, what you doing?"
Yeah.
But in this instant, you couldn't really like they did the Shield Retribution type beatdown. They did it to Fraxium, and then they did it to Obafemi. So it's like they're immediately established because they're like, hey, it doesn't matter if you're the tag champ or the big dog or the ruler, if you will, you're gonna get this work. So I'm intrigued to see what they're gonna go with this. Hopefully, this is that shot in the arm that the men's division need, because the women's division they're fine. They're beyond.
Oh
fine.
Yeah, they're on swole right now, boy. They lifting NXT. So it's like
at this point, it's like, speaking of swole, Jordynne Grace is officially a part of NXT after the closing shot, if you will, of Vengeance Day. And I'm not against it. Like, I know some people was like, well, she's main roster ready. She's already been in NXT, but it's like, this is another case where if she just gets thrown to Raw, SmackDown, will they know how to immediately book her?
Right. And you want to make sure that you're taking your time. And like we talked about with Ricky, building these people right and putting them in situations where you know they can succeed and acquiesce themselves to the new crowd. Yes, some people know them, but us as hardcore fans who do content creation for this, yes, we know her, but does the general WWE audience know her? The broader audience does not. And a lot of the where the money comes in does not come in from us hardcore fans. It comes in from the casuals.
I know for sure. I know for sure. Like these people who be complaining and bitching online don't ever put a dime in none of their favorites' pocket.
Oh yeah,
right.
Facts.
And this is why, like last Saturday or whatever it was, I went to, or Saturday before last, whatever, I went to Collision because it was right down the road from my house. And shout out to the homie Mika. That's like my sister. That is my sister from another mister. She just from South Oklahoma. But I always mess with them about that up there in Dallas. But like she was like, yeah, you should go because you've never been to an AEW show. And I was like, right, I want to go and see it live for myself to see what the fuss is about, because I also want to see, like, you know, some live wrestling. It's right down the street. It's a small place. You know, I've sat in those seats before because that's where my daughter graduated. So it's like, I know I can be comfortable sitting in those seats. So I literally have no excuse. It's right by the house. My big ass is comfortable. I'm not doing nothing Saturday, and I'll be at home watching it or something anyway. Why not just go? And I enjoyed myself, but it helped me understand why sometimes WWE will sign people and have them start off in NXT, even though they're big stars, just to get used to and acclimated to the way WWE does things.
Yeah. And, you know, I want to touch on what Sierra had just said about, you know, when we're talking about these fans and how she just said the same thing about Jey. Because as you guys were saying, making your points about Jordynne, it's crazy because, you know, she's one of those that could have been, if they had wanted to, she kind of already dibbled and dabbled anyway, where, like, I think even those casuals kind of already know about her from that first surprise Royal Rumble appearance to then being in this year's Rumble, where if they did decide that they wanted to, like, debut her on the main roster, they could have did that AJ Styles approach if they wanted. But, like, I like the fact that they, you know, just said, you know, let's let her cook in NXT a little more, even though she kind of already did do that. So even if they didn't do this route, I would have been cool with it, because I was like, hey, she has some matches on NXT. But, you know, given that it's Mania season, I bet if it wasn't Mania season, they probably would have just went ahead and, like, brought her on the main roster.
I wouldn't be surprised if she's like, if they have her around for Stand and Deliver, have a match, and then whenever they do the draft again, if they ever do that again, I wouldn't be surprised if she gets drafted like immediately.
Agreed, bro. I can see that.
One thing that I will say, sometimes I do this I use it as a measuring tool. Because, you know, I'm a nerd, numbers nerd, like statistics and analytics and advanced stats and all that kind of stuff. Something really simple that's really effective that'll help you realize why they put Jade on the main roster and Jordynne went to NXT even though Jordynne is by far the more accomplished wrestler. But Jade is also by far the bigger star. Instagram followers. Jade currently has 1.5 million. Jordynne Grace has a shade over 500,000. That right there is all you need to know. She has 1 million more followers than Jordynne Grace. She has star power because she was already presented as a big deal in AEW. And so was Jordynne Grace presented as a big deal, you know, in TNA, Indies, and so on and so forth. However, when you look at the crossover appeal and the star power, and, you know, you look at Jade Cargill looks like an action figure, a movie character, or something like that, like a real live superhero. Jordynne Grace, yes, she's swole and she's like, you know, this big, you know, carved out of granite, fire hydrant little short lady, and she's a great wrestler, but she does not have the same star power and the Q rating, I'll say, that Jade Cargill has. Jade Cargill is a real needle mover. Yep. Jordynne Grace is not that kind of needle mover. So not yet. Not yet. And I'm not saying that she can't ascend to that spot. She probably can. But it's just like when you look at stuff like that, some of those outside factors, it factors and things that you consider outside of just the in-ring and the talking ability and whatnot, as far as pro wrestling is concerned. Can you move merch? Can we send you out for these appearances and whatnot? How do you look in front of the camera? You know, are there other opportunities for crossover appeal that we can use you for, either sending you out to do media or having you being cast in different movies and roles and different things like that? Like, the reason why Jade got written off TV is because she had to go and shoot a movie.
I thought she was injured too.
I think she was, but she also had movie obligations as well.
Oh, so it just blended together.
I believe so. I believe so.
But, see, and that's funny you say that, bro, because as we know, remember, even when she came to the main roster, you didn't really see Jade like that. And people were already, you know, those same fans that complained about her being on the main roster started complaining of, like, why are we seeing Jade? How are they fumbling this? What are they doing with it?
You mean like the same people? You mean the same people who complained about her in AEW that she wasn't ready to be on TV, that she wasn't ready to wrestle? So WWE said, okay, we're going to put her in the limelight for a little bit, just to let you know, hey, she's here, but we're going to train her so that when she is on TV, she isn't as green as she was in AEW. Because Triple H literally said, hey, she's actually a lot worse than we thought.
But see, but that star power that Mr. Jermaine so well put is that you saw her at, like, the college football games with, like, the legends, the Undertaker, and all of them, like, just literally right there with them.
She looks like a star.
Represent the brand.
She legit looks like a star by default. And like, she could literally be in a WWE ambassador, and you will be like, oh yeah, she's a multi-time world champion, and people will believe you.
Oh yeah,
because she looked like a world champion.
Hey, I'll say this before we move on. It's kind of like a Marvel effect in a way, right? Like, Jade would be the Hulk, and Jordynne would be the Thing. Both powerhouses in their own way, but one's more mainstream than the other because one is actually literally like the most popular, and most tend to say even, you know, the strongest of the strongest. Now, between these two, I guess we'll find that out if they ever lock horns in the future. But, you know, it's kind of like that kind of effect that they have, because you got fans that rock for the Thing, and they're like, hey, man, how come the Thing don't get because he's associated with the Fantastic Four, you know, and I mean, the Fantastic Four is kind of like down there a little bit. But the Hulk, oh, that's the Hulk, man. Everybody know about the Hulk, man. Everybody wait for Hulk to smash, you know, this and that, and it's just kind of like that. So, hey, man, either way, I'm excited to see what they do with both of these ladies. We know Jade's on her way back, and as Jordynne is cooking on NXT when she makes her way to the main roster, it's going to be a fun situation to see all these possibilities that we're going to get in the future.
Speaking of future, which strap you think she's going after, the North American or the world title? Because you got Stephanie Valkyrie. She just won her NXT Women's North American Championship. Shout out Fallon Henley. She definitely showed up and showed out this past weekend. She's also someone I feel like is, if she gets called up to the main roster, they definitely have something in her. Hopefully they figure out what they want to do with her. But Stephanie Valkyrie is the NXT Women's North American Champion. They will basically be finding out who her number one contender is as of right now. Actually, a triple threat match on NXT TV, and then also Julia retained her NXT Women's Championship in a fatal four-way against Bayley, Cora Jade, and Roxanne Perez, pinning Roxanne Perez, which I could assume is officially her end in NXT because she just made her main roster re-debut, even though she debuted on SmackDown a couple of years ago.
Yeah, I always say like reintroduction.
Yeah,
is what I like to kind of call it. You know, it's just funny because it's just funny because it's like as Gresh was like trying to figure out how to word it, I'm like, yeah, I was really trying to think about that too. Like, and I guess just reintroduction or whatever you want to call it. But not only did she make her reintroduction re-debut, but she ended up winning that match.
Yeah.
And so that to me, between taking the pin on her way out and then winning that match a couple nights later to qualify for that Elimination Chamber, that kind of just solidifies what they think of her and where they're trying to position her as far as the main roster is concerned. The good thing is that the transfer portal between the main roster and NXT has been open for a long time. So I won't say it's the end of her in NXT. I'll just say that's the end of her full-time run in NXT.
Yeah, I was gonna say because it sounds like she might possibly have some slight unfinished business with her bestie Cora Jade, maybe, possibly. And I think if they decide to tackle that, that would then be her official in. But again, who knows? Because like you said, she is an Elimination Chamber. For all we know, she could win the thing and face Rhea at WrestleMania. For all we know, I mean, she's getting that rocket. So who knows? It's time will tell because we could ask the same question about Trick. But then again, we'll see.
I love how stacked this NXT women's roster is right now, man. It is, and that's why I posted the comment in this chat because I wanted to make sure I didn't forget it. But for so long, and especially lately, when you got a Julia and a Stephanie Valkyrie, and you got a Roxanne Perez, and you have a Cora Jade, and you have these other ladies and whatnot, they are cooking down there at NXT, and the women's roster down there is stacked with now you have well-established stars, you have up-and-coming stars, and then you have a bunch of newbies that you're trying to get groomed into the system. They are stacked. The men's division was over there looking like Pookie in New Jack City. Like, I need it, man. It just keep calling me. They need somebody, something to give it.
Nigga, they out here got Lexus King with whatever beard he wants to paint on his face this week, and then you got Eddie Thorpe beating Trick Williams in a strap match. Like
in Black History Month, how the hell do you beat a black man in the strap hatch and You know what?
1 for 3.
One for three. Like, shout out to the ruler, Obafemi, for holding it down for Black History Month. At least he won. God damn it.
Yeah, bro.
Thank you, Oba.
Thank you, Oba. But hey, real quick, I'm gonna switch back for the women for 1 quick second, just to say this though, because it was to answer Grace's question. I do think Miss Grace will go probably for that NXT title, only because it seems like we got an edgier Kalani Jordan that seems to be eyeing to get that North American title back in some way. So I wouldn't be surprised. Jordan seems to be the primary target for that NXT Women's Championship because I don't know who else other than maybe a Lash Legend if you want to throw her in there because she's also
for the NXT Championship.
Possibly because she's been getting a lot of uproar from a lot of fans, man, and she's been heating up pretty good. But again, it depends on it. It seems like they might possibly break up Metaphor, but I don't know if they're going to do that or not. But if they do,
they not. Like it wouldn't make sense. I mean, it not right now. It could happen in the future, but right now it just wouldn't make sense because who's gonna turn on who?
And the other thing is, I think they'll keep Jade and Lash together. If they may not bring back the full iteration of Metaphor, but I think Jade and Lash, Jakara and Lash, they're gonna stay together.
Okay.
Yeah, they feed off of each other.
They'll stay together. Yeah, and they feed off of each other well. It's not one of those things where they were just like, well, we ain't got nothing for you, we ain't got nothing for you. Let's put y'all together and see what happens. And like, oh, look at this. Like, no, they have actual chemistry, and you can tell like sometimes you can just tell where they're either just making it work or they have real chemistry off camera. You can tell those two ladies actually have real chemistry off camera. This isn't just let's just make this work professionally. Like there's way too much cohesiveness between the two of them, promos and in-ring wise, where they just click on all cylinders. And I love to see it because it's two beautiful black women.
Love that. All right. Salute to you, fellas.
As far as the NXT Women's North American Championship, what's her name? Carmen Petrovic just won the triple threat match.
Shing squad, baby. Was her man? Was her man with her?
Yeah, he didn't want to get. He didn't want to assist her. He basically threw her into the.
I figured.
Ashante the Adonis.
Ashante trying to get them brownie points, boy. I see you, G. Go on, keep getting you some tonight, huh?
I see you, Milky.
Here's another reason why I think Jordynne. I'm gonna go ahead and support y'all's decision to say Jordynne's probably gonna go after that NXT title, is because Stephanie just won that North American title, literally that night. Julia's held on to the NXT title for a little bit, not a long time. She held it for a little bit. If we were to put her in a feud for somebody to go after one of those two titles, I think it would be Julia. However, I think that they're going to pivot. I don't think she's going to immediately go after a title. I think she's going to try to come in and announce herself or something like that. And then somebody's going to come out and be like, nah, like you got to go through me first. And I think that they'll feed her to a couple of people and you know, kind of give her some good feuds, you know, maybe have a back and forth to make her feel normal or something like that. And then they'll put her in the title picture. But I think she's going to have at least a few matches or something before she gets to a title shot or in that title picture. I just feel like it's smart business to get her in, get her acclimated, and make sure she's good to go. Okay, let's now move on to the next phase of this plan. So I think that they're gonna work her in and then see where she's at and then pivot if they have to pivot.
You know, it's crazy you said that, Jermaine. You just gave me like women I was thinking about, like who's not doing anything that would be nice. And I was like, Nikita Lyons, Lord Jesus, she's probably gonna get jobbed out with Jordan.
I do not think. I'm gonna put it to you like this. I don't think she's ready because WWE keeps her around for some reason with her and her paper mache knees. You put her in her construction paper, you know, Elmer's glue held together with prayer, a ring in the prayer knees in that ring with Jordynne Grace. She might be out for 2 years and then end up getting cut. They are not going to do that for her because they see something in that big booty white woman for whatever reason.
Hey,
exactly,
man.
no pop.
Well, thank you, bro. You're more popular for posting booty pics and twerk videos and stuff than you are for anything you did on TV.
The thing is, she's not that popular anymore.
Yeah, she was at. That's what's so wild, bro.
You don't see that many people pop for her anymore. Like, I think mainly because people have either moved on. And the women's division just does not feel like it needs a Nikita Lyons.
That's what it is right there, bro. That part, because look at how much the women's division grew from that 2.0 era to now. Like
she's still doing the same thing. She's still doing the same trope. She's still wrestling the same, wearing the same gear.
Yeah.
Now she just got 2 knee braces like RoboCop.
The only thing I've seen that's different, she does more power-based offense. Somewhat, like a few moves here and there are more big girl power-based offense. But it's like, I'm gonna show my age a little bit. You can tell I grew up around old people and stuff, old music. But like BB King said, the thrill is gone. The thrill is so gone. Once we got past you being a thick, big booty white girl that like to twerk and you like to sing or whatever and all that, okay, what else do you have to offer besides being injured?
Yeah, because I think about that time when they almost had her on the main roster, bro. Like, remember when her and Zoe Starks were just...
Oh, yeah, that was a thing. And then they had to replace her with Toxic Attraction.
Yeah, and then all of a sudden, you just never saw her sniff anything close to that again because the hype ain't been what it was at that time. So it's like, you know...
Shout out to Sierra. She says she was only popular because of how she looked and how the internet lusted over her. Her in-ring was never good enough to surpass the era she came in.
Bingo.
Round of applause. Yes.
You had to, because the thing is, thank you, Gresh, for shooting that down. Because the thing is like, and this is another a callback to like we talked about with MJF earlier in the show.
Mm-hmm.
What else do you have to offer? Once you keep offering the same thing, it's like, why do we care? Give us a reason to care. You're not
Gresh,
giving us a reason to care.
Hey, Gresh, cue the soundbite if you got it. Do something else. Do something else.
Man, shout out T-Pain. Do something else. Do something else. That's it. That's all we want. Do something else. Holy shit.
Bruh, like, come on, man.
You gotta clip that, Josh. You gotta start using that.
Do something else. God damn it. I can only take so much twerking from you before I get bored. Do something else. God damn it.
Hey, man.
Oh, boy.
I'm a connoisseur of I prefer chocolate milk. Okay. I don't mind a little horchata every now and then. But if I'm gonna drink a glass of regular milk, that glass of regular milk better be high quality regular milk. That milk right there is starting to spoil to me. I'm sorry.
Listen, I am lactose intolerant. The only milk I can consume is almond. So almond or oat milk. So
you like old girl that was on LFG. P Nasty the Samoan.
Oh hell, wait, Samoan?
Oh, brother.
Probably she's probably too young for me though. So yeah.
Brother, good brother.
Brother.
So I can send this to you right quick so you can. Yes, sir. Look, shout out to the homie Marty, man. Shout out to Marty because Marty's half Samoan is Grammy Award winning ass nigga, and like I was checking in on him one time, man. Marty started. I was like, bro, when you say Samoan stuff, you got to remember, you got to tell me what it means because I don't know what you're saying. Like, I'm going to have to look that shit up or something like that, or use the Googles or whatever. I was like, okay, I think I know like 3 words, maybe 2. And I can't even remember what the hell they mean. But I know when they do that Chihu, I know, that's Samoan. Like, look out. Because they either really excited or they calling the rest of them. Be careful.
Uh-oh, now. That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah, man. Speaking of Jakara and Lash, they're on NXT right now. And I was about to say Chihu, but I'm like, I got a show to do. However, yeah, it's time. It's time for a lot of evolution to go on. But the women's division overall is definitely stacked. Vengeance Day overall was a solid show. And speaking of solid shows, y'all peep Grand Slam?
Yeah.
Yep. You got it. Overall, just in case nobody did, they pretty much put it on YouTube for free for the most part.
Really?
Yeah, because I just watched the clips on YouTube. It's got the entrances and everything, full match and all.
So they basically say, yo,
I'm serious. I'm so serious, y'all. I did not watch it on. I don't have cable. I literally went on YouTube and they got the full matches, the full entrances and all. They ain't never did that. Normally, it's full match or like clips of the match. No, these fools put the entire entrances and the match. Introductions and all. I said, hold up.
Bro, that's wild. Yeah, that's kind of crazy because like I didn't know like they did that. I thought only like I knew like WWE and AEW and NXT like they don't always put full matches on there. They may feature a match or something like that, and especially now with WWE on Netflix, they put stuff in the vault. But I've never known AEW to put full matches or full shows from a recent show on their YouTube. That is different.
Yeah,
that is way different.
All they did was chop it up. So if you can think of the order, you just basically sync it in the order, and boom, there you got it.
Or if you, whatever you're interested in, because I ain't gonna lie to you, it's like
I skipped the Edge match. I sure didn't watch it. I was like, yeah, I ain't watching that. I don't care about Death Riders. So I skipped that. I ain't even bothered to watch that one. I ain't
gonna hold you. That was the weakest of the show of the matches that was on the show, but it wasn't a bad match. I was used to it. But it did. I did kind of check out again because they did the typical Willa Yuta interference, and I was like, "We're doing this again,
bruh." Like, you know, the thing is, they had a chance to really do something cool with the Death Riders, and they did not like let this build or sell it or write it in a way that it was going to captivate the audience.
I feel like something was supposed to happen. And they had to pivot.
Yes.
But they just pivoted the wrong way.
Bro, you literally just took the words right out of my mouth. Like, I'm trying to figure out, like, how do I say this? Because I don't want to come off like a hater or nothing like that.
I'm not hating.
No. I'm not saying you did. Because I was about to really, like, shit on it. And I was trying to figure out the words to say to, like, be nice, kind of be nice about it.
Yeah.
Shit is terrible.
No, yeah. Talk your
shit is terrible.
Talk your stuff, Jermaine. Talk your stuff, bro.
I like Jon Moxley. I like Claudio. You know what I'm saying? I love what they're doing with Marina Shafir. They're actually making her fucking interesting as opposed to being this numbnuts in the ring where she's clumsy as hell. Like, she actually has a character now, even though she's stone faced and she kind of does shit every so often. But like, you actually made me interested in her. And despite what people say, Willa Yuta plays his role in that whole thing perfect. I mean, you call it what you want. You can call him a squirrel, whatever you want. Willa Yuta plays his role, and you need people that know their role and play their role well in this game of professional wrestling. They just have not made that overall product interesting enough.
I think the thing is too, it's like you can tell that they pivoted and they don't know what this direction is because if you watch that close up with Renee Paquette, everybody says something different. Jon Moxley, I want to make 1 million Jon Moxleys. One of you is enough. Claudio, we don't want to destroy AEW. Pac, we want to destroy AEW. Wheeler, I don't know what I'm doing. Marina, I just gotta do my job. So it's like nobody has a clear direction in the group. And then on top of that, you have Adam Copeland. Love Edge. I'm not calling that nigga Cope. Love Edge. I've always loved Edge. But even he is not that interesting to make me care about this faction, this story. Right. Because it's predictable. He's gonna get beat up. They lose. And then they have one or two ways. They either have him lose again at Revolution, or they have Adam Copeland become the world champion in 2025.
Oh boy.
You know, like I just one thing that I will give them props for is that some of the things that Tony Khan has been doing lately has really been hitting. And I will say that I love the way they're able to kind of pivot into something better. I need them to keep pivoting into something better. And they look like they're having the same issue on their side that NXT is having, where the women's division looks really strong and the men's division is struggling. And I need them to give that men's division a shot in the arm with someone or something. And I was hoping that maybe not, like Powerhouse Hobbs had a great showing against Moxley and everything, but if you really wanted to shock everybody and do something different, put the title on him.
Yeah, because
you could take it right back off of him. Put the title on.
Did that. That's what I was wanting, because they just set it up so quick, you know, where it was like.
And I think a lot of people was checked out of that because wasn't it not too long ago that Mox was the IWGP World Heavyweight Champion, and he faced Powerhouse Hobbs in a similar fashion and won. But it was like, okay, do something different, and they didn't. The only difference is between now and then, and Mox is bald.
Yeah. And ironically, I believe that was the match that he actually got hurt in too.
Yeah, he did.
So
hey man,
they had a story with that, you know, where they could have played off of that.
Thank you.
They could have been like, you know, he got injured in their last meeting, and you could have even have been like, it was your fault or something or whatever. But they didn't play off that. And then, like you said, it would have been perfect shock value to be like, oh, snap, Powerhouse Hobbs did it, blah, blah, blah. And then they could have did that attacked angle where they attacked him, attacked the knee, and then
make him defend the title.
Yeah, make him defend the title.
He could have defended the title and then lose it back because he's hurt too much.
Yeah.
And it would have made people sympathetic towards Hobbs, and it made Mox more of a dickhead. Dastardly, if you will.
Yeah,
but
I love it. I love it.
It's so many ways that they could have done. But that's what I'm saying. Like that's how I've been abbreviating. Like everybody been like, oh, this is that. Like they've been going in on this storyline. I was like, you can tell that they was going one direction. Mm-hmm. If you go back to that initial promo that Mox cut when they formed. Mm-hmm. And then somewhere on the line, they lost whatever the next point was supposed to be. So they had to pivot, but instead of pivoting in a good way, they pivoted the other way, and they just lost people.
Bro, it also, like a lot of people were speculating about the whole Shane McMahon stuff, and they were thinking like this was like some sort of takeover.
I still don't even know where that would have made sense.
Thank you. This is why I say, like, I think a lot of the times, I can't remember who I was talking about this with. Forgive me, because I know, like, I remember hearing this conversation or something, but people were saying a lot of the times what happens is wrestling fans get themselves worked into such a frenzy over what they think should be the next booking decision or fantasy booking things, to where when the thing that they've convinced themselves should happen, when it doesn't happen, it totally blows their minds, and they're kind of screwed because they're like, well, why didn't they do this? I thought they were going to do this. They should have done. Like, no, that's not how things go. They shouldn't go in the direction you think they should go in just because you're a fan and you've been watching for so long. That is not how this works. Like, they make booking decisions based on what they want to do. And see that right there, AEW is losing me. Like, this is it just. The booking is sometimes so disjointed and it's so start-stop with so many different people or storylines, or you see them heading in one direction, then they go into a different direction, and it's not necessarily better. This is why I say their women's division is strong, but their men's division needs help. Because when you look at Mercedes and you look at Toni Storm and Mariah May in the main event picture, you look at the mid-card, I see things there that I'm liking and I'm getting with. My only qualm about their whole women's division is, why the hell Athena ain't on AEW TV by now?
Did she did say in an interview like 2 years ago is that she wants to be there in Ring of Honor?
But at this point, bro, she's been the ROH champion for 800 days now. Yeah. Hello? Mm-hmm. What are we doing?
At this point, I don't even. It's like I want to see Athena on AEW TV, but I've reached that point to where I just stop asking for it because it's asking me to be disappointed. I was like, you know what, you do you, boo boo. I'll focus on me.
See, my gripe is whether it's men or women, I can't get over this Tony Khan picking and choosing his favorites that he feels like pushing and consistently giving TV time to, because the way you presented Deonna Purrazzo,
he sound like a guy that we used to gripe about a while ago. Remember when he used to pick and choose who he wanted on his TV shows, and he was only entertaining a show of one? Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And you just had the loyalists that say you just gotta accept it, even though it was dog shit.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Pretty much. Yeah, bro. That's
The
exactly
the only difference between that guy and this guy is that guy is a cesspest. This guy is not. He's just a socially awkward individual that has a lot of money.
But he showed scamming like one cause this Grand Slam situation, boy.
Oh yeah, I saw that he was getting booed.
Heated.
I saw he was getting booed.
Oh yeah. Me
and
too. I saw that.
And a lot of people was like, well, what's happened? What's happening? Why is he getting booed? And I was like, when I actually, because like, shout out to Solid Monster. He actually broke it down perfectly. He's like, the entire buildup, like since the show was announced, has been a mess. Like at first it was supposed to be a stadium show. Then they realized they couldn't sell it in Brisbane of all places. So they had to downsize it to an arena show. And instead of giving it like a super pay-per-view-esque type of show, they basically just gave Collision and ROH.
Right.
Yeah,
and
pretty much.
The thing is, what I heard or read or what have you was that the venue that they were looking at was more like a soccer or a rugby stadium, something, upwards of 40, 50,000.
How many people y'all think y'all got in Australia?
Look, there's a lot of people.
And they don't have TV in Australia though. That's what's so crazy.
But the thing is they could have sold out that venue or what have you, but when ticket sales were so poor initially, and they were looking at it like, we need to pivot quickly because I don't think we're going to sell out this big ass stadium. They pivoted, but they also like scaled down, I guess, the importance of it or the marketing of it to make it feel like it was a big pay-per-view. And it just made it feel like it was like a special edition of Dynamite almost, or Collision or what have you. And it did not feel like an actual pay-per-view. And I think people were upset because they think that they were buying tickets to an AEW pay-per-view. And they basically got a souped up edition. What they did was, and if you're an old school wrestling fan, you'll remember this, NWA WCW. You would have WCW Saturday night and stuff like that or whatever. And then when you would have Clash of the Champions, that was like their pay-per-view, but it was on TBS, and it would be like, 7:05, 6:05 start time or whatever on a special night. That's what this felt like. This felt like Clash of Champions. This was not Super Brawl or Starrcade. This was Clash of Champions. This was what this was for AEW. And I don't fault anybody for feeling upset about it.
This was WCW Sin in 2001.
Yeah. Ain't it funny?
I was giving it Clash of Champions. You just came off the top rope like Macho Man, like, nope.
This was WCW. This was WCW Sin. That's what we're doing. Yes. Like, we're gonna tell it. We're just gonna tell it like it is. Like, I can't sugarcoat no more. Like, it's some bullshit.
You,
like, it was WCW Sin. Like, it was a show where it was oversaturated, but still bullshit at the same time. It was a good show. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah,
in ring across the board is never the problem. The story that keeps me hooked and coming back is always my problem because it never makes sense.
And the inconsistent booking of just certain people where you're like, yo, you see them, and then all of a sudden you're like, where did they go? Did they just die or something?
Oh, they're going to be on ROH for a couple of weeks. It happens all the time.
What? They're like, nigga, what?
Like.
Oh, you expect me to watch that?
The whole rumor about there being some, maybe some actual real life heat between Swerve and Bobby is the reason why they pivoted in the direction they did with their, potential feud. Like, I guess they couldn't figure out how they wanted to move forward after the match or whatever, and so they pivoted, and Swerve went on to other things, and Bobby went on to win the tag titles with Shelton. And it's like you could tell that they were probably trying to build something there. And then all of a sudden it just changed and they both went in different directions. And it doesn't make sense because even Swerve says, I'm not done with you yet. So it's almost like we're going to agree to disagree and we're going to separate. We're going to go to our two corners. It seems like this was like a couple's argument. Like they like, you're going to go to your room and I'm going to go to my room. We're going to stay. We're not getting a divorce. But we're just going to sleep in separate rooms. We're going to go to counseling. We're going to revisit this at some other point. That's what this feels like. Especially the thing that made me feel like that is because Swerve made mention, I want to say more than once, that he's not done with Bobby yet.
Oh yeah, so, that was the entire thing in the new year. He was like, "New year, I'm still coming after you."
Right.
Went after him about a week, and then after that, they was like, "Nope."
And that's what I'm saying. So it just feels like to me like they're going to revisit this at some point. They just couldn't figure out how to move forward, and instead of them forcing it or it dragging out, they're just like, "Hey, let's move on to something else, and we'll go from there at some point." Overall, I thought it was a good show, good matches and everything. But again, like you guys were talking about, I'm waiting for Dynamite tomorrow night, and Collision on this coming Saturday and whatnot in the next couple of weeks to see how they go from where they were with this good show that they put on to, okay, what's next? And that to me is like kind of like alluding to back what Sloan said, AEW is losing me. I want to see how they build off of what they did over in Australia and what they do moving forward.
Yeah. What was you about to say, Hi-Lite? Before we move on?
I was just gonna add on to Jermaine's point when he was talking about like the reason for the split with Swerve and Lashley. You know what it reminds me of, Gresh? It reminds me of a conclusion we never got, to the point where when we finally somewhat got it, everybody stopped caring because they forgot all about it. Remember when a certain person by the name of Keith Lee was feuding with Swerve? Yeah, you remember that? And remember how that just went out of nowhere? And then it just went for a long period of time? Yeah, remember that, people? And then miraculously, they decided, oh, hey, yeah, y'all remember that feud with Keith Lee and Swerve? Oh, here it is.
The thing with that one is, remember that feud that never got a conclusion 4 months ago? Oh, hey, here it is. Oh, wait, we can't finish it because Keith is injured.
Exactly. So who's to say we don't get a similar situation?
The substitute. Hey, Dustin Rhodes. You're not Goldust anymore. Come on down. You can fill in and take the cinder block.
Hey, exactly. And that's all I was going to say, because I just wanted to end it on that with this subject. I just had to bring that up when you said that, Jermaine, because that's all that came to mind the moment you said about them splitting this. I was like, it's basically this all over again. This is what it sounds like to me, because Swerve seems to move on. He cooks for somebody else like he's doing with Ricochet right now. And then it seems like Hangman seems to want to revisit something in a way where it's like a men's versus them fighting. So I don't know, bro. I'm like, you know what? I'm done with it. That one-off is a one-off as far as I'm concerned. Like, good show. I'm like you. Let's see what happens next. That's all I can say.
And I saw, speaking of that good show, the show closed with the new 4-time AEW Women's World Champion Toni Storm. Timeless, if you will.
Go ahead, Gresh, because I saw the tweet.
With the finish. With the roll-up, if you will.
The roll-up of doom.
Initially, I was like, wait, what the fuck? But after processing it, and after processing the current story that they was telling, it made sense. Because she was cosplaying as a rookie. So instead of going off of a familiar that Mariah was expecting, like, because she kicked out of Storm Zero, she kicked out of the constant hip attacks, which I'm like, ma'am, you are literally throwing your entire ass into this woman's face. Like, I'm surprised she ain't got a concussion off your thick hips. Just saying. But she won with the basic move, which was the roll up. And I'm not as mad as I was at first.
And I'm glad you brought that up, because that was the thing that I think people were missing. And someone on Twitter, I want to wish I knew so I can give them their props, but they posted her with all of the small package victories, right? As rookie Toni is what I'll call her. And if you weren't paying attention to rookie Toni and the whole shtick, it was just, I'm a rookie. I'm happy to be here. Wow, I can't believe I got this win, you know? And for her to go back to Timeless Toni, and Gresh perfectly laid it out. She did that because Mariah was not expecting it. She was expecting Storm Zero. She was expecting the hip attack. She was expecting all of that. She was not expecting the small package. And so that's what I love about this, is that she got her with a move that she was not expecting. Although she's been using it the last month or so, I just love the fact that she caught her off guard with it.
Yeah. Now, I think a lot of people were more so upset was because Tony Khan made it pretty clear that Mariah's reign was a placeholder from a story point of view. Because do you remember any of her matches since winning that title?
Well,
outside of the one match that she had with Thunder Rosa? I remember that one.
She had a pretty nice match with Willow.
And Willow. But as far as like stuff to sink your teeth in.
Some of the other people. I guess you could say the angle that they tried to rerun with Mina Shirakawa. I mean, how they tried to like recreate what she saw coming. And I mean, in a way, it kind of ties into this in a way if you think about it.
Yeah.
Because of like how Toni Storm came back into the fray later on. I guess you could kind of say the Mina Shirakawa stuff kind of was like a
now that Mariah is no longer the women's champion, do you feel like she got a solid reign, or he should have done more with her?
I think they could have done more with her. I want to say, just like you guys said, if her reign was to be a placeholder or what have you, that's one thing. But you also have to remember, after she did what she did to get the title shot and then win the title, you still need to do some character building in order to make her formidable. And I just think that the only thing they did to make her more formidable was way too many exhibition squash match type of things. They didn't allow her to have a whole feud or feuds with people that would have built her as a credible enough champion. Outside of a match here with Thunder Rosa and a match there with Willow, like you had two solid matches your whole reign. Nothing else built you into this credible champion. So it almost was like another term, Gresh, like you talked about certain terms that wrestling fans need to say, transitional champion. She was basically, I won't even say a transitional champion, because you didn't go from one champion to a different one and handing the belt off to someone else that you didn't want to see those two people interact. You were a placeholder legitimately, because this was all about Toni Storm adding another layer to her character.
Yeah.
And it didn't have anything to do with making sure Mariah May looked credible. Like, she still looks credible somewhat, but what did you do to really build her into a worthy enough opponent? Now that Toni Storm won with this small package, it's almost like you got to run it back.
Yeah, you got to run it back, and it's like, after that, where do you go?
Exactly.
Like, do you have Mariah fall back and then rebuild herself? Do you basically make Toni hold the title for 2 weeks and then give it back to Mariah, and then what?
Right.
Because I even saw someone say, hey, she wins the rubber match at Revolution. You mean Revolution, like that's in like 2 weeks?
Bro. And this is where AEW is starting to lose people, because if they don't make the right decisions and pivots in these situations, it just looks like they're just throwing stuff up at the wall, seeing what sticks. And that's not a good way to run a company. You have to have a plan and lay things out. And you have to have a backup to the backup to the back in case that plan does not work out. And it just seems like they sort of have a plan, a concept of a plan. And then when that concept of that plan does not pan out, it's like, oh shit, what do we do now? Like, and I hate that for them, because I really want to enjoy the company more than just some cool matches and cool spots and cool moves. I want to enjoy storylines and progression and character building, and they're just not giving that to us consistently enough.
Nope. I agree with everything you just said. Like, I hopefully as this fourth reign starts, hopefully Dynamite, they clarify where they want to go with this, and they just give us something to sink our teeth in. Like, hopefully if they do run it back at Revolution, make it worth our while to actually see this conclude. Otherwise, I feel like Mariah May got the short end of the stick. And that's unfortunate. Like, it's not the end of the world, but it is unfortunate.
Yeah, it sucks. But I mean, like we said, you know, there's only so much you can do. And there's only so many spots, you know, for everybody to have, especially at the top of the card. So there's not much that, you know, like, do we give Mariah May this 6, 8, 9 month title reign? Well, what do we do with Toni? You know, and if we're doing this with these two, well, what do we do with Thunder? What do we do with Willow? You know, who are we putting with Mercedes and different? Like, there's a lot to consider, and I think a lot of the times people are way too hard on bookers and what they do and how they balance things and whatnot, because they have so many different factors to consider, and there's only so many matches, so much TV time, so many spots at the top.
Mm-hmm.
And with AEW barely being, you know, 6, 7 years old or whatever, like, it's gonna take them some time to find their groove and find their way and find out, hey, this is what works for us, you know, not only right now in the moment, but in the long term. And I think right now, if people just give them a chance, stall them out, and let them figure it out, they'll be okay. But it's the expectation of the way they were presented as the second largest, you know, they're a quote unquote competition for WWE. I think that kind of set the table of expectations way off for some people. Mm-hmm. And they expected way too much, way too soon out of AEW, and forget they haven't even been around 10 full years yet.
Nope. They're like on their 6th year, I believe.
Yeah, so we got to give them some grace. You can't just expect them to be this fully operational billion-dollar machine like WWE is, because they've been around for forever. They have a corporate structure. They have all of this stuff in place. Everything's already built in. They just have to keep the train going and don't screw it up. Whereas AEW is still trying to build the tracks. Like, there's a total different thing that they're running on right now than what WWE is running on. So you can't compare them. I wouldn't even say you can compare them to TNA either, because TNA has been around for what, 20, 30 years or so? So it's like you can't compare these two companies apples to apples, because they haven't been around as long and they're still trying to find themselves and get things done. Oh,
Ricky Saints.
I'm not mad at it. I get the tie into the city. Shout out to the 504, because that's where me and Ricky Starks is from. And I'm almost certain he's from the 7th Ward, because he light skinned with good hair.
Ricky Saints. I gotta process that. And just like I gotta process what you said, I agree with everything you said. AEW, they will figure it out, hopefully. And speaking of machines, Jacob Fatu is one machine that is literally, yeah.
Hey man, I'll put it to you like this. I have a good homeboy, Dr. Dre on 290 on Twitter. Dre been rocking with me since I first started doing media stuff, like 2009, 2010. Good friend of mine. Dre recently started getting back into wrestling. To the point where I was like, hey, let's add Dre to our wrestling group chat or whatever. And Dre's a little older than me, so he remembers like old school stuff, you know, like Paul Bosch in the 80s and, you know, Houston wrestling and all of that. Bro, Dre said, hey, that Jacob Fatu, I like him. He real. And he got his wife into watching it, right?
Mm-hmm.
Bro, even his wife was like, yeah, he scares me. Like, I was like, he was like, bro, like, how do y'all know this dude? Y'all was talking about him before he signed and everything else. I sent him the MLW match between Jacob and Alex Kane. I said, watch this and tell us what you think. And he was like, bro, I had no clue. He was like, that dude is scary for real. He was like, man, like, to see him go at it and like they can. Bro, that match, I want to say they went on for like 30, 40 minutes.
I think I saw that match. It was Hammerstone?
No. It was Jacob and Alex Kane. I didn't.
Oh
send him
yeah,
the
I definitely saw that
Hammerstone
one.
match
I
yet.
definitely saw that one. I saw the Hammerstone one too. A lot of people was praising that one.
Yeah, bro.
So,
I sent him the Kane match first, and I'm gonna send him the Hammerstone match next.
yeah.
After he saw the Kane match, he was like, "Bruh, this dude." Oh yeah, wait till you see this one. You know, and there are different types of wrestlers because Alex is more technical with some power, whereas Hammerstone is just straight power. You know, big meaty men slapping meat type of match. So I wanted to send him like, look at this dude against two, you know, bigger guys, but with different kind of styles and movesets, and kind of give him a better idea of who Jacob Fatu actually is. And he's loving it so far. And I love when I can introduce a friend that's either just getting into it or getting back into it to something like this and kind of give them a little bit of background on somebody. And Jacob Fatu is one of those people where he jumps off the screen at you whenever he's on the screen. And you instantly are gravitating towards him and you want to know more about him. And that's where I'm at with some of my friends who are either casuals, getting back into it, or starting to get into it. This guy pulls people in immediately.
Yeah, like he just look at you. My man got a gold teeth. My man is out here bringing West Coast slang to mainstream TV. This man has been cooking. Yada, I mean, like,
bruh, when you wear black forces with white laces or red laces, that's a different type of energy right there. And because when you change the laces on your black forces, that lets me know this is not just a fashion statement. This is a lifestyle choice. And anytime black forces are a lifestyle choice for somebody, that's somebody you need to be careful with.
Mm-hmm. Yada, I mean.
Yeah. 100. Hey,
yeah.
Bro, you know that shot? I'm gonna tell you it was sick seeing that shot where it was just like Solo cool, boss self want to come out dressed in all white now since he's doing all white. And just seeing how like Cody and Jacob looking at the screen like, oh, we got some business to handle. But then you see Jacob like, oh, no. But that angle of which he did it and the look on his face of like, he didn't even look at my man's Cody. He was just like, no, we finna handle some family business. And then
he's like, you chill out. Yeah. I got this. And he didn't even flinch. He didn't even anticipate this man attacking him or pushing his arm down. He was like, "Hey, bro,
that was
right now,
gangster Samoan." Like, I was like, "Yo, bro, that's real."
but it's looking like Jacob is on the out. I mean, not Jacob. Solo's on the outs.
Bro, I'm glad y'all pointed all of that out because it's the little things like that. Mm-hmm. That people don't oftentimes pay attention to. The hand motion, the phasing out of Solo. And the phasing out of Solo actually started when Solo wasn't even there. Mm-hmm. Was because when Jacob said, yeah, we unchaining off the leash now. Mm-hmm. Like when he came out and I want to say that was one of his first promos being on TV after Solo went away. Mm-hmm. And he was just like, nah, we here now. Y'all getting all of this. Yeah. And like to see them kind of call back to that with this little, tension between the two of them, and Tama, towards the end of that very segment right there where he basically was like, I'm going after my mans. I'm gonna leave you right here to sit with your thoughts. Yeah. It basically shows where the lines are being drawn within this little, faction or the tension that's brewing between them. And I love what they're doing because there's so much that you can peel back the onion and so many layers that you can get into right here. I love what they're doing with this, and I can't wait to see which direction they actually take it in, because you could see them either having a match at Mania or coming up at some point, or you could see them like having some tension and it's like, okay, well, look, you know what, I lost to Ulafala. You stepping up, I'll take a back seat to you. Like, there's so much there that they can do. Like, we can go in a bunch of different directions. And I love when we get the element of surprise, when we can't predict exactly where everything is going to go. We just kind of got to watch it and kind of like, soak it all in. I like taking in my wrestling like that. I don't like predictability type of wrestling.
Agreed, bro. I'm hoping that if this does lead to a feud between these two, which I'm assuming obviously Solo, unfortunately, would have to take another L in this situation, more than likely because of how Jacob's getting the rocket, it seems. I hope that it transforms Solo again in another format, like a mixture and a blend, because he's coming to his own in this persona. But I love that Street Fighter persona that he had, and I'm hoping like this creates like a
he's on loner version.
Yeah, like exactly. Island on his own type, and he's kind of like a mixture of like his own tribal chief of himself, but he's a street fighter at the same time, willing to go at anybody.
He betrayed his family,
right?
And his new family don't like losers,
right?
So he's on this mission of, I have to prove myself, and what better way to prove myself than by being an island of my own, locking the heck in, and regaining that respect.
Facts.
They can go whole. They can. It's so many ways they can go with Solo. Now, how did we get there? Because I actually sat and thought about this. What if Solo inadvertently costs Jacob the Elimination Chamber? What if in this ploy of getting forgiveness, if you will, he gets Jacob a title match anyway at Elimination Chamber? And desperate to get the title back in the family, he screws him again. Because it's Elimination Chamber, so they can afford a screwy finish. Because it's not WrestleMania.
There's an avenue for that. There's also the avenue of how many elimination are there any Elimination Chamber spots that are still open?
Nah, they just
they're all full.
Okay. So the other thing used to be, remember back in the day, there used to be the last chance for that last spot, you know? Since they've kind of taken that away, I'm wondering what, like how's the direction they're going to go in? What is Solo going to use in order to try to help Jacob get something, you know, to that effect, or get back in the title picture or what have you? Like, there's a lot of different things here that they can do. Again, I'll just say I love the unpredictability of it, because there's so many different directions that they can go in. So keep me on my toes, keep me surprised. Don't announce signings and stuff like that. Let people just show up. Keep us guessing, because even in the whole who attacked Jey thing, and Nick Aldis is showing them the footage and all of that. You saw Liv and Raquel walking from a certain area, but it doesn't necessarily mean that they attacked Jey. People are just automatically assuming, oh, Liv and Raquel did it. This is still open-ended, because that does not show who actually attacked her. That just shows them in circumstantial evidence. Just because you are a suspect and you were in the area don't mean you actually committed the crime.
And that's a nice callback to the Stone Cold Steve Austin storyline, because it was the same way. Remember, they had those false suspects, you know, and they made it look like it was. They made it look like it was The Rock. They made it look like it was all these other people, right? Until it ended up being the least person you expected. Which then it was like, well, hold up, what?
I did it for The Rock.
Did you, bro? You got it out. I was waiting for Hi-Lite to finish so I could do it.
I was like, hey, I had to let my homie set it up. You know what I'm saying? I was like, go on, Gresh. You know what I'm saying? You got it?
I did it for the people.
Bruh. That was the beginning. That was the real beginnings of the bloodline right there. I did it for The Rock.
Facts.
That was the beginnings of the modern day bloodline right there.
Bro. Facts.
Oh man. So yeah, Jacob. Yeah, he is. Oof. Solo was on the outs since Jacob debuted, and it's like now that they gave him the mic, whenever Solo speaks, he does not command attention.
Bro, the thing is, Solo was built up in order to be Roman's new right-hand man when Jey was on the outs. And they've done a great job building Solo up into this believable character. And because they've built him up to that status, they can now use his status that they've built up over this year's time since last year's WrestleMania to now, let's give Jacob the rub off of that status by he's already real, he's already believable, he's already this scary dude. Now let's use Solo like, you know, former tribal chief, you know, former title contender and whatnot. nah, like you messed up. I'm about to step up and I'm gonna get this title back in the family because you dropped the ball.
Mm-hmm.
And this is calling back again to building up Ricky Starks and why is Jordynne Grace going through NXT, or they have Athena down there in ROH.
Well, Ricky Saints now.
Oh my God dang it, thank you, Gresh. Ricky Saints. I'm already like,
oh, they changed this man's name.
And mama named him Starks, I'm gonna call him Starks.
Ricky Saints. Wow.
Homage to New Orleans.
Yeah.
Shout out. Hometown.
Okay. All right.
Home field advantage next year for Mania.
I don't hate it.
No, like I'm just saying, bro. Like sometimes you build people up, and not necessarily to call them a stepping stone or what have you for the next person, but you need people to build up other stars. And in order to have that person build up another star, you have to make them a star on some sort of level. And somebody in the comments was saying that Finn Balor is buried 6 feet deep or whatever earlier. That's not necessarily the case. Everybody has a role and a position that they play on a roster. And right now, Finn Balor is at the age and the status in which he's a guy that you can use to give other people credibility. But he's at this phase of his career where he does not need a main event run. Solo and Jacob, they're at the phase of their career where they're having a run up on the top, near the top of the card and whatnot. But those guys are still young enough to where they still have a lot of time left, God willing. You just have to tweak things and things have to move in different pieces together. But I love the way that they're bringing all of this together and they're using one to play off the other and build up the other. This is going to work out. We just have to let it play out. And this is part of the storytelling that I think AEW needs to infuse into their lineup with their men's roster, because the women's roster is cooking. The men's roster needs stuff like this. And I think that they have the talent there to tell these kind of stories. They just aren't putting it together.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And stories and talents, Charlotte Flair made her pick. She's going after Tiffany Stratton.
So nonchalant. It was as if we did, going back to what Jermaine said about predictability. I mean, this is one of those that wasn't the case. Like
that and Jey, it was obvious. So we have 2 matches now confirmed for WrestleMania: Jey Gunther, Charlotte Tiffany, Battle of the Blondes, Battle of the Samoan versus the Austrian. So it's a lot.
There is one thing though. One second, Jermaine. I will say this.
No, go ahead.
There is one thing that puzzled me just a tad, where I was like, where the heck are we going with this exactly? Trish Stratus saving Tiffany in this situation was very interesting. You think so? You don't think they're going to try? Well,
they said
you're right, because it's Toronto. It's Toronto.
They literally said, she's like, yeah, let's team up. It's going to be Trishy time and Tiffy time. Like, the whole segment was just cringe to me. But it was entertaining to somebody.
I tried to look for that segment. I couldn't find it, so that's why that explains it, because I saw
it's Trishy time and Tiffy time. I'm like, okay, bro. You got it.
So maybe no Mania plans for Trish.
Nah, that's it's definitely just for Toronto. Trish, give her that hometown match just to get it out the way. I mean, they could do something with her at WrestleMania. She's a legend. She's a Hall of Famer, so it's gonna happen. But as far as like match wise, Toronto, get it out the way. Her and Tiffany versus Candice and Nia, just to wrap that little feud up, and then move Tiffany on to Charlotte at WrestleMania. So
okay, yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, I'm really like the predictability thing kind of bothers me sometimes, simply because I get tired of it, and we have so much time between now and Mania. It's like the story with Jey and Gunther was already there. You could have strung this along a little bit longer in order to give it some time, build Jey a little bit more, have Gunther do something else. You could have done the same thing with Charlotte and Tiffany. Except the only difference is with Charlotte and Tiffany, we as hardcore fans, we see the similarities and we can see why they would have a story together. But this allows them time to build that into something. And why did Charlotte pick her? What is the reasoning behind it? So on and so forth. Whereas with Jey and Gunther, it's already there. It's built in. They've wrestled a couple of times, and Gunther's kicked his ass. And we already know what the story is. We don't need another 8 weeks or whatever to tell this story. So
9 weeks actually. After this week, it'll be 9 weeks.
9 weeks.
It'll be 9 weeks after this. So we literally have 9 weeks of them selling us on this. So I feel like, honestly, I hate to say this, I feel like Gunther gonna have to hurt somebody Jey care about.
Yeah, you know what? You may
lock the door. Lock the door, Jimmy. Lock the door, Rikishi.
Hey, you know, there's his son though. You know,
bro, we are not about to have Gunther kill his son. We are not doing that.
I ain't say kill. I ain't say kill. Now, I ain't say kill.
Brother,
he can verbally kill him.
Oh,
he can verbally kill him. Gunther is known for verbally killing you too.
Listen, man.
He can break that little kid's
I'm about to
spirit.
say, bro, I don't think Jace can take a chop.
Nah,
that's borderline child abuse at that point.
Wait a minute.
Nah. I just meant a verbal killing, like basically big
target the family.
Big E style, straight Big E style with the New Day.
He had me scared. I'm about to say, bro, you won't go through this. Like,
Nah.
I was already damaged.
Because think about it, bro. The worst thing is childhood trauma, bro. And mentally, imagine like you looking up to your dad.
See, that wouldn't work. That wouldn't work because he spent 5 years being destroyed by his cousin. So he's seen his daddy abused before for 5 years. He's like, anything you say don't mean nothing to me because Uncle Uwa done destroyed my daddy repeatedly.
That's true. That's true. That's true.
But nah, like I'm saying, like for us to be really like, I ain't gonna lie to you, the announcement as well as this brawl that they had on Raw, loved it. Mm-hmm. Like I moved, but long term, I'm gonna need them to figure something out.
Mm-hmm.
For sure.
Yeah, I want them to do a lot better than what they're doing right now. They got to find different ways to tell this story. And one of the things that I thought about what they could do, and this has a couple different benefits and meanings to it. They could have something where Gunther injures Jey heading into Mania, and Jey's kind of, is Jey going to make it? Is he going to be healthy? That whole thing, and play into that and have him really overcome the odds. For two reasons.
Okay.
Jey's been going hard for like the last 4 or 5 years. Mm-hmm. And especially in this current iteration, this main event, Jey Uso, the Yeet movement and all of that, like he's really been everywhere. Giving him a little time off during Mania season to help sell the feud and sell a storyline injury would benefit him in a couple of different ways, because it would build this feud and make this match mean a little bit more because he's overcoming a certain kind of odds or another obstacle in this path to winning this title and validating himself. Mm-hmm. But it also gives him a little vacation. It don't have to be much. It could just be a couple of weeks off of TV and off the road. Stash him, let him go home, hang out with the wife and kids, and just kind of get away, rest, relax, and recharge. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. And I just think that that'll be a good idea because that'll help him, in the long term and in the short term. Because like we all think he's probably going to win that title at Mania and get that big Mania moment and that pop and everything. And then from there, he's going to be going, because then you got the post-Mania stuff. Typically, they take a tour of Europe. And they're hitting the road, and they may have a couple of days off in the next 3 months. And so I think giving him some time off right now would benefit him, because especially if you're going to put the strap on him at Mania, you want to kind of make sure he's healthy, good to go mentally, physically, and everything else.
Thanks.
Yeah.
I like
speaking of someone who's probably tired of hearing about himself, Sami Zayn versus Kevin Owens is official for Elimination Chamber in Toronto.
Wait. Not official.
Unofficial.
It's unsanctioned. I was like, okay. Came up with a new word, huh, Pierce? All right.
Mm-hmm. Now, wait. Are they going to cut off the lights and then cut them back on?
You know they're not. Like WWE doesn't go all out on the unsanctioned match. Because in me, unsanctioned, whoever is like, whether it's one of the Elimination Chambers, this match, if they want to go the real unsanctioned, the Elimination Chamber match should close the show, and then they should just go to this.
Facts.
But seeing as the last few unsanctioned matches they've had, the one that come to mind is Shawn Michaels versus Chris Jericho in 2008. That was in the middle of the show. So
SummerSlam, I believe it was 2002, Triple H and Shawn Michaels.
Yeah, that closed the show.
That one did close the show, right?
That one closed the show. Okay. But then that's what I'm saying. It's tossing terms. So hopefully Triple H does that with this one, and they close the show with Sami versus.
I think they will, bro. Also because of the home field advantage situation with them being in Canada, that they are smart enough to know usually that when the hometown people, if you will, are main, they I think they would do that exactly the way you say it, bro. Like I could see that exactly happening.
Okay. Yeah, I would love that idea, bro. Like you were basically thinking the same thing I was thinking. Close the show with that match. Give the crowd the pop and the go home, the feel good story and all of that. And you could still build off of that match going into Mania and possibly run it back at Mania or have that match mean something for Mania or something like that. Like there's a lot, again, keeping the book open and writing everything in pencil is a lot better than closing the book, making it predictable. This is where we're going. This is what we're doing. Like most people wanted this match at Mania and were upset that they're getting it at Elimination Chamber. Wow. But you got to understand the business decision. You're going to have two Canadians in Canada. Come on, bro. Like normally this pay-per-view is normally featured around the Elimination Chamber matches, and that's what everybody focuses in on. Everything else is secondary.
It's like they complain about it being a B show, but then when WWE turns it into somewhat of a B plus or an A minus, they still complain. So it's like,
thank you.
Shut up.
That's basically what I was getting at, because they're giving us a little something extra on top of everything else.
Yeah, like
shut the hell up and enjoy it.
Facts, bro. Can't win for losing,
bro.
What did the final boss say? Shut the hell up, enjoy the ride that the Rock is taking you on. God damn.
Which led to absolutely nothing.
Off is the direction you can fuck.
Bro, that's still hilarious.
Bro, I love it. Love it.
But yeah, I'm cool with this happening in Elimination Chamber. Like I said last week on both shows, they can either go 100%, knock this out, run it back at WrestleMania, or they can use this as a catalyst to bring back Randy Orton to set up a Mania match, because it's going to literally be Randy Orton versus KO. He still has a debt to collect.
That is true.
I forgot all about that.
We did too. It's okay.
It's a situation. The only thing about it is, if the Randy Orton factor does take place, that leaves Sami to be a little, left out in a way. Unless, kind of like what JD says, unless that somehow pours in Karrion Kross into this, because of how he's been, he's been mentioning Sami a lot lately. And so maybe if that is the case and we get Randy Orton popping out, then maybe that steers the direction of Sami into Karrion Kross, and he gets in his ear, and then they just battle it out to try to bring a darker side of Sami out, maybe, or something. Who knows?
Yeah.
There's some things that I think that, and I've been peeping the whole Karrion Sami interactions and whatnot.
I've enjoyed it.
You guys have laid this out perfectly for like some of my conspiracy theories as far as where they could go in that direction. The KO Randy thing at Mania fits beautifully. The whole Karrion with Sami thing, Sami's very impressionable over his career. And he's been backstabbed by KO multiple times. He got under the influence of the bloodline, looking for some sort of acceptance. And you can basically write that same story with Karrion Kross calling into question all of the decisions and things that you've been doing. Look where it's gotten you. Look where it's led you. Like, I'm trying to help you. I'm trying to help you. And then they can build off of that, either bringing Sami under his wing or trying to put Sami under his spell, and Sami is resisting it. Like, there's so many different things that they can do with that. There's some entertaining stuff there. I just hope that it fleshes out to the point where we're all satisfied with it. And even if we're not all satisfied with it, just send the people who are the ones that are paying, that are coming to see this show, send them home happy. Because those are the people that are putting their dollars where their mouth is, and like they're actually going to the shows and buying the merch and things like that. And you want to send them home happy more than anybody else.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Speaking of fans going happy, if you're a Georgia boy, you was happy because we got two Georgia boys possibly feuding over the Intercontinental Championship. You got Bron Breakker and AJ Styles crossing paths officially. After AJ Styles sidestepped a spear and Dom ate all of that.
Poor Dom.
Yeah. Hey man, I love this for Bron because over the years in pro wrestling, I've always enjoyed the young lion going up against the old grizzled vet. And it kind of tests that young lion and see where he's at. And AJ Styles is the perfect measuring stick for a guy like a Bron Breakker, because you have one of the better wrestlers of this generation that you're about to go into a program with. And he's not just good in the ring. AJ is really good on the mic as well. This is time for Bron should get off the pot. This is his should get off the pot feud. And you gotta bring it when you in the ring and on the mic with a guy like an AJ Styles. And he's kind of morphed, and I don't want people to get me in the wrong idea when I say this, but he's kind of in that John Cena role now, where he's the older guy on the back end of his career, could call it quits at any point in time now. He's basically there as a measuring stick to put guys over and see what they have.
Yeah.
And I think if Bron can pass this test with flying colors, that will solidify that rocket strapped to his back and maybe shoot him a little bit higher, a little bit faster, as opposed to if this does not turn out favorable.
He also did say this last contract is his final one.
Yeah. And it makes sense too, because I mean, even for him to wrestle Dom as a way of like showing Dom's progress, I don't think enough people mentioned.
He definitely held his own and brought it.
Yeah, he's really improving, and it's kind of funny when I think about it, because y'all remember back at a time when people were trying to compare Hook and Dominic, of like, oh, which generational son is better, and everybody was so high stock on Hook at that time. And look at
now he's an op.
Yeah, and exactly. And look at how Dom's just soared his way up, and look at him now. Working with the best of the best, doing his thing, and
all it takes is patience.
Facts, bro. Patience and time. So, hey, I like this, and Jermaine, you said that beautifully, bro. I mean, you can see it from the body language, and I mean, they didn't even have to talk in that interaction. Their facial expressions. Watching AJ Styles just look at him like, yeah, what you finna do? Throw the shirt, how he perfectly caught it. Like, did you forget I was a D1 athlete too? I ain't no. I've played sports too, brother. I'm a pretty badass like soccer player, football player, all that. You know what I'm saying? Like, to catch that, look at it, and then almost go gun for that title. Like, it was just those movements of like,
Sloan, my only pushback with the AJ in that Dolph spot now is they actually respect AJ.
It's more or less Miz is in that Dolph spot. Miz is in that Carter, like that. You know what I'm saying? AJ is in that kind of that Cena role, as I see.
The reason why I say they
top of the card type.
The reason why I say they respect AJ is because they actually let him hold the world title and actually give him substance to cook with.
You're right. Because Dolph only had. Yeah, you're right.
So that's the only reason why I say they actually respect AJ. So I wouldn't even put him in that position. I put him more so the Miz is in Dolph's current role, old role, and AJ's
even that, and even the difference with, like, I know I said Miz, but it's just like with Miz, they trusted him with multiple title reigns.
True.
And he actually went over on Cena at Mania, you know, and I know that had a lot to do with The Rock and the setup for next year and all that kind of stuff. Like, yeah, that's cool, that's great, and whatever. But to go over John Cena at a WrestleMania at that point in time, when Cena was still kind of riding high, that's not a small accomplishment. That's a major deal. Major deal. But I love when there are wrestlers in those spots because you need those AJ Styles, you need the Dolph Zigglers, you need that late, you know, this late career Cena run, you need the Miz's, you need guys like that in order to establish and put over other stars. And there's no way you can make stars without having them beat other stars. So it everything goes together, everything works together. This is not oil and water. This is all water. It all has to flow.
Yeah. Facts. And the last bit for Raw, we have the final. We mentioned them earlier. Roxanne Perez upset. I guess can you say upset? But she beat Raquel. How about call her Gonzalez again? Raquel Rodriguez to get that final spot, and Seth freaking Rollins beat Finn Balor to get that last spot for the men. So the field is set for Elimination Chamber as far as the winner will face the winner of the men will face undisputed champion Cody Rhodes. The winner of the women will face women's world champion Rhea Ripley.
Yeah.
This is what Sloan was saying.
Okay.
I'm saying in reference to he's the measuring stick. Dolph was the measuring stick. If you couldn't look good with Dolph, then you suck. Okay, that's what you should have said because
we all in the same car.
Because my mind immediately goes to they don't really respect Dolph because they kept this man was just a straight up loser the entire time.
That's fact. Because Sloan, I'm glad you was able to explain that, bro. Like that makes so much more sense, bro. Like so, that is definitely makes sense. Now we all in the same.
Yeah, now we on the same ballpark. Because I was like, hold on, now they don't respect him. Like
they don't want none. Tell them they don't want none.
Hey, bro,
I'm so glad they brought that tone back.
It was a couple weeks ago. We were sitting here talking about something. And Gresh hit me with, and I didn't catch it at first.
Because we're just some Southern boys.
Southern boys.
Primal strength. Because ain't nobody.
Yeah. And then when he said that, I was like, hey, man, this got me sitting up here agreeing with him when he's singing the words to the damn song. I was like, yeah. And then he said, because ain't nobody. I was like,
because ain't nobody breaking
Got it.
They don't want none.
Oh, man.
If you go back, I gotta go back on the Instagram or the Twitter feed or something and catch that video because my face, I was like, yeah. And I was like,
wait a minute.
Hey.
Man. It's so good to be back with y'all too, man. For real, dog.
Yeah, man.
Yes, man. This felt real good.
I forgot to mention before we get up out of here, 2 things. Ring size don't matter. We didn't mention it on AEW Grand Slam because you see we didn't talk about it because we don't give a fuck.
Exactly. Hey, shout out to Lil Foot. Shout out to Lil Foot. Lil Foot posted one of the realest tweets. I said she was like, ring size don't matter. Real hoopers gonna hoop no matter what the ring look like.
Because remember when TNA had a smaller ring than that at one point? It was like I think it was like 2009, 2008. Like they did like a house show.
They were using like an indie, like the 16x16 kind of ring,
and that shit was small,
right? The only thing that I will say as a nerd watching it and stuff like that, like AEW regularly uses a 20x20. However, the ring ropes are a little bit different to give them more space on the aprons, is what I heard. Now the smaller ring that they used at Grand Slam, I only saw maybe where it affected things a handful of times here and there as far as like timing is concerned, but that could be an issue with the WWE ring. There could be a timing issue. So there's no telling you, like, I can't really pinpoint it and say like, yes, this was terrible.
That lets me know my level of nerd because I didn't notice it at all.
Hey, bro, me either.
I saw it for I saw it when it first started. Like I was like, wait. I was like, hold on. That could be. I was like, if they got any smaller, that'd be the same size ring that they use for Shotgun Saturday Night.
Oh,
and that was literally a box, right? Literally, that was like 13 by 13. That was the size that they used. It was in the subway, so they had to use the smallest ring possible. Mm-hmm. And the reason why I knew it was that small is because Undertaker was in that thing looking like a freaking like he was in a toy.
He looked like Andre the Giant.
Yes. So
in the regular ring.
So yeah, I noticed that. But as far as like, did it make any difference to me? Did I dedicate an entire weekend talking about it? No.
Facts.
Nope.
I went to sleep.
I noted it. Oh, okay. The ring looks smaller. And on the rewatch, that's when I was like, no, these were timing issues that could have happened in the regular size ring. Like this, no. Let's stop the discourse.
And I was just straight up lost because I was like, why are we complaining about ring size? I was like,
they complain about ring. They complain about ring size, but can't even go get somebody who wants a ring from them.
Say that one again.
Well.
Last bit. Speaking of rings,
I don't know how to strap it up.
Yikes.
You know. Continue, Gresh. Continue.
Now, I just had one more note. Road Dogg is apparently the co-lead creative of SmackDown again.
I think people are overblowing it because Vince was in his ear a lot and did change a lot of stuff. Him being under Hunter now instead of being under Vince, that could mean something totally different for us. And so I think that people need to just relax a little bit and just let it play out, because you cannot compare a person's job performance under Vince and what we all know and saw how he did things as opposed to the way things are going now.
True this. And all I will say is, doesn't matter who is the co-lead of anything. If anything's boring, I will blame the man who writes off on it. Triple H. Doesn't matter.
He still got a little bit of stink to clean off his palate. Mm-hmm. It's just like if you like what I equated to is like if you wake up in the morning and you brush your teeth and then you try to go drink a glass of orange juice, that orange juice is gonna taste horrible. Yeah. You gotta cleanse the palate first, then drink the orange juice. I think Road Dogg, he brushed his teeth. Okay, now cleanse your palate, then you can drink the orange juice.
Yeah. Speaking of cleansing the palate, hopefully you guys enjoyed this episode of our show, because that's all the time we got for you. 2.5 is always our good point. So you already know what the deal is. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the talking points. If you want to hear more talking points from the crew, yours truly, check us out, Public Enemies Podcast, every Thursday, 7:20 Eastern Standard Time. If you haven't already, make sure you guys scan that QR code to subscribe to the show, to download everything that is going on, so you can listen to the podcast back. And if you are listening over in Spotify, Apple Podcasts, where we appreciate you guys for keeping us in your ear to entertain you every week. Real quick, what y'all got going on? Let's start with you, Hi-Lite. What you got going on coming up?
Special announcement. Life's a Botch is back from its hiatus, and the premiere episode will be debuting this week. So we're back on our interview format with this thing, man. Just your boy sitting down with local independent wrestlers, and you never know, might throw in some legends and stuff like that from time to time too. We're gonna make some things shake, but mostly, if nothing else, you're going to always catch a boy sitting down with local independent wrestlers. So first up is my boy Shoot Taylor right here in Atlanta, man. We talk about his return to the ring. He was on hiatus for a bit. And then we talk about his really dope vignette that he did with the legend Teddy Long, and how that was in that process of shooting that, and what it means, because he got a really good friendship with him. And so, yeah, man, we back, and I've been waiting to bring this back for y'all, man. So make sure you keep it locked. All things Life's a Botch show, or just follow us on OTS Media Co. Shout out to our boy DJ and we'll have those clips posted up shortly. So y'all stay tuned, keep it locked. As for me, as Hi-Lite Real, I just dropped a new single last Friday for Valentine's Day. So anybody that's into that love season a little bit, if you got a significant other, you want to add some stuff to your love playlist, go check out New Chapter by your boy. And we got a couple more love tracks coming out. You know, I'm in that love bag for a minute before we drop some summertime heat, if you will, for the turn up season. But in the meantime, that's all, man. Just follow your boy right there. You see it on it, Hi-Lite Life. And always appreciate being with the crew. Appreciate y'all, man.
Jermaine, what you got?
Make sure y'all stay tuned in and locked in here on GRESH UNLEASHED, and you can catch me tomorrow night on Susio Sports. That'll be 8:30 Central Time, 9:30 Eastern Time. I ain't got no guests or nothing like that tomorrow. We're just gonna rock it how we rock it. But yeah, you can see it right there at the bottom.
Yeah.
Follow us, like, subscribe. Matter of fact, tune into the whole CDB Multimedia Network because Susio Boys just dropped another pod, I think, like last week, and they about to record another one. And then Dre has been out at the lacrosse championships, and he started dropping some pods and interviews and whatnot that he was doing PLL and the new Women's Lacrosse League. So he's got a bunch of content that he's about to start dropping. Lacrosse is like that next growing sport in the country, and Dre's been at the forefront of that. He's really plugged in with a lot of people there. So again, just tune into the whole CDB Multimedia Network because we got something for everybody.
Yeah.
Hey, I will say this real quick, Gresh. That side note of what you just said about lacrosse, I had the pleasure of checking out my first lacrosse game on a date night with my lady. We was at Gwinnett Arena, and it's called the Georgia Swarm. And I ain't gonna lie to y'all, that joint is banging, bro. I was not expecting that in terms of the sport itself and then the atmosphere I was in. So I just became a fan of that sport, and I'm gonna have to attend more of those games in the future. But just had to throw that in there, man. Back to you, Gresh.
Oh no, you good. With that being said, hopefully you guys enjoyed everything that we bring you going forward. WWE 2K25 is dropping. I will be covering that. I will make a formal announcement of where I will be covering it because the Gresh YouTube channel has practically moved away from it, but it's not going away because that brought me to the dance. But at the same time, not going the same way that I used to, because if you're not entertained by it, you got to check out and you got to pivot. And we talk about pivoting and all this stuff. You got to pivot. But definitely an official announcement will be coming in the coming weeks as the game drops on March 4th, I believe, 4th, for early access, 14th or however. It's coming soon. It's coming in the beginning of March. And we would definitely be talking about it and actually keeping it covered going forward. But other than that, speaking of going forward, hopefully you guys go forward with good things, good vibes, good energy, and all that good stuff. And with that being said, you guys stay safe out here in these streets. And remember to always eat, sleep, flex, and repeat. We out, y'all. Be crazy.
About that time.